Yeah, come on. Yeah, yeah.
Bass burning like it's lava, throwing shit together more iller than MacGyver.
Yeah. Yeah. Come on. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. Yeah. Come on. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Come on.
Microphone check 1 2 1.
Right, starts with
can't tie me down, but you can whip your lovin' on me, baby, round and round and round.
All right, welcome in everyone. Happy Wednesday. It is, it's Wednesday. Here, let me turn this down a little bit. Happy Wednesday, April 15th. I think today's tax day. Yes, it is. Happy tax day. I don't know if anyone's boycotting doing their taxes. Hey, Bishon in the box, welcome in. Hope you're doing well. It is a tax day today in America, and but we are going to be talking about local California politics. We got to figure out what the heck happened to Eric Swalwell. Stardust City Hack, welcome in. said happy Wednesday. Looking forward to today's stream. Yep, me too. Sorry, let me get myself rooted here. Edit. I thought we had homework to do, but we actually do not have homework to do. So that's great. Okay. All right. Let's just jump right into this Eric Swalwell stuff because I want to get it out of the way. I think it's not going to be a very nice thing. Well, I mean, it's sexual assault, sexual harassment. That's never fun for anyone, man or woman, either side, whatever. So, let's just figure out what the heck he did. He was front runner, well, one of the front runners, and then we need to figure out how the polling is going for the rest of the California governor's race, because we are coming up on the primary. So let's watch this real quick from CBS.
At our exclusive CBS News interview with two women who say Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell sexually harassed them. They told Nancy Cordes why they finally decided to go public. Swalwell denies allegations of sexual misconduct, but he did suspend his campaign for governor on Sunday and then announced he's going to resign from Congress. Nancy Cordes joins us now from Washington. Nancy, good morning.
Good morning to you, Nora. This is the first time that Swalwell's accusers have been willing to go on camera. And they told us it wasn't an easy decision, but that they've been shocked to discover how many women had stories about Swalwell that were apparently just like...
Sorry. Yeah, let me not do that while we're watching this. Hey, DV8, welcome in. Hi, everyone. The Eric Swalwell stuff is disturbing. All right. Thank you for letting me know, because I have been avoiding it. But we need to do it. We need to cover the news, and we need to figure out. But, so let's just get through it, get all the information we need, and make our decision on how to feel about it. And then, have an informed decision, right? Because right now I'm just like, ugh, of course, another powerful man was caught doing horrible things to women underneath him or just people underneath him in general, And it's just like every freaking day, it's just fact of life, and it's terrible. I hate it, and I don't want it to be a fact of life, but it is. All right, so let's go with this. Of course, the most triggering thing is the reporter said that all of the accusers found out that their stories were too similar to each other.
Discover how many women had stories about Swalwell that were apparently just like theirs.
I didn't tell anybody for years, out of fear.
What were you afraid of?
Well, at first I thought I was all alone.
Annika Albrecht was still in college when she says she got what she thought was a big break. California Congressman Eric Swalwell offering to stay in touch after meeting with her student group in Washington, D.C.
He offered to mentor me.
Wow.
That was, as someone who knew virtually nothing about politics at the time, or no one, that was just an incredibly generous offer that I felt very lucky to have.
She says Swalwell created a group chat with all the students and then added her as a friend on the messaging app Snapchat.
And so I asked the other people that were in
Of course it happens on Snapchat. Jesus.
the meeting, did he add them? And they said no.
Were they all men?
Yes. I was the only woman in the meeting.
She says Swalwell, who was then in his late 30s, started out talking politics, but his messages soon turned flirtatious.
Ultimately, it reached a point where he invited me to a hotel to meet him. It was very clear what the connotation was. At that point, I completely stopped responding. What I keep thinking back to is how lucky I am that I didn't go to that hotel.
Ali Samarco says she had a similar experience in 2021. She sent Swalwell a supportive message on Twitter, and to her surprise, he messaged right back.
I was so excited. I was a low-level staffer who had no
like no real political background, and he was this established figure in Democratic politics.
They began to text.
Sorry to cut this off real quick. And the most disappointing thing, or I guess the most disheartening thing about these situations is so much of the job climbing or just the connecting really relies on you making those connections with people. So like of course you have to go above and beyond to be a little bit brown nosy, a little bit, ass kissing. Like that's just how these things work, right? But I don't know if I don't know if men misinterpret it as just like, oh my God, this girl is being so nice to me. Like, she must like me, clearly, right? Or even worse, oh my God, this girl likes me. I can take advantage of her. Like, that's what happens. And it's just terrible because, like she said, why was she the only one added on Snapchat by homie here? Nah, he doesn't get the to be called homie. Um, but yeah, it's just like brother, so freaking obvious, just terrible. Like you're that hard up for attention, that hard up for, you know, that yeah, I just really don't know what else to call it other than attention. Deviate said a lot of men in general have no self-control to say the least, but and not saying all men are bad either. Exactly. I know, not all men. I know, not all men. And I know men, you know, are men. Boys will be boys, right? We always hear that argument, and to a certain extent, I'm okay to give that generosity to that, because I know women will be women sometimes too. Does it involve sexually assaulting people? No, I don't usually think so, but I see women get gross about men. It's a normal thing, and it's really locker room talk and stuff, but just I feel like men have made it the societal norm that they could just do it whenever they want. And it just goes in it's been in the workplace for forever. And it's been in politics for forever. It's been in government for forever, and I'm so glad that at least the one positive thing we can look at this, or at least take from this, is that at least it's coming out now. At least we are working on it now, and it's not freaking 1960s where yeah. Let's just continue this. Sorry.
Text, but she says he soon asked if she too was on Snapchat, where messages and photos automatically get deleted after they're viewed.
How did the tenor of his conversation change?
It started out as professional and platonic, and then slowly they became more and more explicit, asking me what I was wearing. Then one night he was
Oh, really?
on a trip, and he was laying in his hotel room bed, and then he sent me a photo of his penis.
Samarco
Oh
showed
my
us text
God.
messages she sent to friends at the time about Swalwell's alleged advances. In one, she wrote, "He's snapping me right now, asking when he can see me." But beyond that, both women said little for years as they built careers as Democratic campaign strategists.
Of course.
I was terrified that if I spoke out against him, then people would think that I was a loose cannon, that I couldn't be trusted, that maybe I'm making it up.
That was until Swalwell decided to run for governor of California
I'm Eric Swalwell, and it's this simple.
and quickly moved to the top of the pack.
The idea that this man who has already abused his power would be given even more power and could potentially harm even more women
Yep.
made my whole body sick.
So,
Yup.
2 weeks ago, Albrecht reached out to her good friend Cheyenne Hunt, a Democratic content creator, and asked her to post a video about the rumors that have dogged Swalwell for years.
The Democratic candidate currently leading in the California governor's race has a known history of being predatory towards women. I could never have guessed where it would lead us.
Where did it lead?
Wow.
I was immediately slammed with DMs from other women
No
who said,
way.
I have a story to tell. And that was when I realized that this was a lot bigger than I think any of us knew.
Swalwell has acknowledged what he called
Bro,
mistakes
how
of
many women? Deviate said, also you see Dems demanded him to resign compared to the Republicans who will embrace that type of person. Yeah. Also, yeah, we have to stop shaming people for speaking out. Yeah, exactly. Like, I feel like that's the number one thing to prevent people from speaking out is they're worried that their career is going to be over. Like, not even just their career, like, some aspects of their lives, their social lives, their, entire life that they built, it could all go away because Like, imagine if we were on the, like, we're like, oh yeah, Eric Swalwell, he didn't do any of that stuff. I believe him. You know, imagine if we were on that, and then we have to go through all this fight of each individual woman coming out. It's just, I'm so glad ever since the Cesar Chavez thing, it seems like Democrats are doing the right thing. I hope, at least we're headed in the right direction at the very least, because damn, it's been bad.
Judgment, but denied all allegations of sexual misconduct.
They have never had, and I will fight them with everything that I have.
And yet on Sunday, he suspended his bid for governor, and yesterday announced his plan to resign from Congress.
Is that justice in your view?
I think we just prevented another 30 to 40 years potentially of him harming people if he were to stay in Congress.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I think we have served justice for his future victims. That won't exist anymore.
Yeah, that's for sure.
We reached out to Swalwell multiple times to ask about these specific allegations, and we did not hear back. In videos, though, he has accused the women of teaming up with MAGA Republicans or even a rival campaign. The women we spoke to say that is simply not true. In fact, Ali and Annika said they didn't even know each other before they came forward. It's pretty remarkable what they accomplished just in the past 14 days, you guys.
I'll say, Nancy, it's been a big change in Eric Swalwell's life. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
this episode contains explicit.
Okay, let's watch from KQED. We love that channel. I think it's in Northern California. I always forget. Sorry. I'm not very good with all the KW whatever, WGN. Well, whoop, that's not even, all of the calls. Is that what they're called? Stardust City Hag resident radio person. They're called the call signs, right? The KQED. But yeah, okay, so this is, I guess, San Francisco Chronicle was the first one to publish the investigation, or publish a story, I think, so, but let's watch this longer video.
Explicit details and descriptions of sexual assault and rape.
We basically were just trying to verify everything as quickly as possible without pressuring our source to go on the record before she was ready. Right. That is, as you guys know, sometimes a very delicate balance to sort of build trust with someone. It was really last week when she finally told him her whole story with all of the details. And then we worked very rapidly to confirm everything that we could. And so once we had done that initial corroboration work, I called Eric Swalwell directly. And I didn't reach him. I left him a voicemail saying that we had some very serious allegations that we wanted to ask him about. And I pretty much immediately got a call back from one of the consultants working with his campaign. And I just laid out for her exactly what we had been told.
Hey, everyone, from KQED in San Francisco. This is Political Breakdown. I'm Scott Schaefer.
And I'm okay. Political Breakdown from KQED. Okay, that's crazy. The person they're interviewing, Sophia Balog, who broke the story alongside colleague Alexei Kosev about the Swalwell allegations. Okay, let's listen to this. This sounds pretty cool.
Marisa Lagos today on The Breakdown. Within hours of a San Francisco Chronicle story of a woman accusing Eric Swalwell of rape, the wheels came off his surging run for governor. He ended his campaign, and today he officially resigned his House seat. Swalwell still denies the most serious allegations, but his career in politics is over.
San Francisco Chronicle reporter Sophia Bolag, along with her colleague Alexei Kosev, broke the story Friday when a former Swalwell staffer made specific allegations about the congressman forcing himself on her after she became unable to stop him or give her consent. She joins us now to talk about her reporting and its profound impact on California politics. Sophia, welcome back to Political Breakdown, and congratulations, if that's the right word, on this incredibly important journalism.
Thanks so much.
And we should say that we are recording this conversation at around 1 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon. Well, before we get to your reporting from last week, we want to talk with you about today's revelation. Another woman, this time in Los Angeles, Lana Druce, held a press conference with her attorneys. Tell us what she had to say.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
They
she
just keep
essentially accuses Swalwell of drugging and raping her in an incident in 2018. And she has said that she is going to file a police report. She said she didn't do so at the time because she thought that it could endanger her budding political career. There might be repercussions if she came forward. But she says essentially that she was at an event with Swalwell, that she thought of him as a friend who was going to help her with her business and help make political connections for her. And she says she had just one glass of wine, but then found herself extremely intoxicated, hence why she says she believes she was drugged.
Yeah.
And then she says she was back in Swalwell's hotel room and that he raped and choked her and that she passed out. And so that's obviously the very disturbing allegations that she made this morning at a press conference in Beverly Hills.
Yeah, really just horrific allegations. And she talked about why she waited until now. She says at the time she was considering a run for a local office. She was a model, and she also had a software company, and that Swalwell had essentially promised her connections in Silicon Valley.
Of course.
My delay in taking action against Eric was driven by fear, not doubt. Fear of his political power, his background as an attorney, and his family law enforcement ties. I have never doubted what happened. I stand with the other women who have come forward. And I will be making a report to law enforcement shortly with my attorneys.
Let's talk about the incredible reporting you and Alexei Koseff did. You quoted this former staffer who made these extremely serious allegations, essentially about sexual misconduct. She was age 21 when she started working for him in 2019. Can you just tell us, though, backing up, like, how did this investigation begin?
Yeah, so I started looking into these rumors about Swalwell that he had behaved inappropriately with young female staffers because I started hearing them sort of organically just from other women that I know who are, have connections with, had either worked in Washington, D.C. or had sort of worked, around the Capitol. And in any political campaign, there's always opposition campaigns, right? And of course, Eric Swalwell was at the time running for governor, and so there were opposing political campaigns that, they sent out oppo on their candidates. But these rumors were significant to me because they were coming not from any sort of opposition campaign. And I was just hearing them out in the world. And so I started looking into it. I started, calling people, who had either worked at the Capitol or had connections to the Capitol to hear what they were hearing. And I brought in my colleague Alexei because he is based in D.C. I'm based up in Sacramento, but he's actually in D.C. And so I thought that he and I working together, we might be able to find someone who could tell us, something that we might be able to verify. And at that point, we did not know how serious the allegations that we would ultimately...
There had been rumors of flirting or maybe extramarital affairs, right?
Yeah, and you said that this really began for you guys after he was running for governor, because it seems like it's been out in the ether for quite a while.
Yes, that's
what
right.
kind of heated up, you're saying.
Exactly.
Okay, so yeah, that makes sense. That's good. That's good. That means that people were doing their due diligence to report these things, or at least, like I always think of the Supreme Court Justice. Oh crap, what's his name? No, the most recent white guy. Yes, Brett Kavanaugh. I always think about him and how that one lady, Christine Blasey Ford, came forward, and the whole, like, one of the biggest criticisms people threw at her, and I would say from the right and the left, were, why did you wait so long to come up with this story, to come out with this story? And it was something that essentially happened when either they were in high school or like college, I forget. But they were drinking. He was drinking, and he forced himself on her, or tried to. I don't really remember exactly all the details, but nonetheless, to say, Christine Blasey Ford felt that she had to come out. It's literally just like Dolores Huerta, right? With Cesar Chavez. She was 96, right? And she finally said, I have to come out and say this because I can't let people continue thinking that this man, was this flawless individual and receiving all these high praise and awards when he was not not a 100% good person. And I mean, no one is a 100% good person, right? But the point is like, you can't do these horrific, horrendous, abusive things to other people and then still be painted as this hero, or this, like, of morally upright, morally just person. And so it's like, I don't want to hear anything from anyone today about, oh, these girls waited too long to come out. Why didn't they say anything then? You know what? It was their freaking decision to to not say anything then, and it was their decision to come out now, and we have no right to say when or shouldn't or should have they have come out to say their stories. The most important thing is that they're out sharing them now, and we got to be supportive, and we need to listen to them, and I mean, it seems like everyone's going, or at least majority of people, like society as a whole, we're all kind of going in the right way about this. But like, how can he literally go from one day saying, they're lying, it's MAGA teaming up against me, and then, oh, it's true, these women were actually assaulted by you. Like, what? Like, this is where we gotta stop lying in politics. Like I know lies are gonna be around forever, but man, we gotta stop with these lies, because how can I ever trust Eric Swalwell ever again? He said he didn't do it, just like freaking, just like Bill Clinton, who was like, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. And then he had so many sexual relations with her. And it's like, you think we're stupid? You're just lying to our face. Whatever. Thank you, Deviate, for saying that's a good way to put it. I appreciate that. That is hopefully one of the smaller rants that are coming today. Let's continue with this podcast. It's really good. Actually, I'm going to subscribe to KQED, and that is a good reminder to subscribe to the channel here. I didn't even do like my intro and like welcome in. My name is Angelina Tucci. We're covering politics today. Oh, okay. Sorry. I guess y'all know who I am, but uh um yeah, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on this video. It helps out. All right, let's continue with KQED's political breakdown podcast.
Exactly. That's what I had been hearing. As I said, I'm based in California, so I was not previously aware of these rumors, but I have heard from women who have lived and worked in Washington, D.C., that this has been, somewhat of an open secret, but it was all very vague. And so there weren't specific allegations of specific misconduct per se, just sort of, the type of whisper networks that we used to hear about, or we heard about a lot during the Me Too movement. So that was really how this started.
Did you guys just start calling a list of former staffers? How many people did you end up reaching out to?
Alexi and I ended up reaching out to dozens of former staffers, and it's Alexi who ultimately spoke with the woman that we focused on in our story. She alleges that Eric Swalwell sexually assaulted her twice. Once in 2019, as you mentioned, when she was 21, and then again a number of years later in 2024 after an awards gala that they attended.
Crazy. One of the things that she said was that he sent her Snapchat photos, nude photos, which is weird to be using Snapchat, because like, you think of young people really using that.
Yeah.
I mean, as the story unfolded for you, was there a moment where you if you had any disbelief or any questions, like it just kind of all fell together for you?
Yeah, the Snapchat detail did stand out to us for the reasons you're saying. Eric Swalwell is obviously not a teenager. He's not in college, and that's a platform really mostly used by teens and college students. There's no rule that says you can't use it after a certain age, but it did sort of jump out to us. On Snapchat, if you take a screenshot of something that has been sent to you, it notifies the other person. And so I think that's why some of the alleged Snapchat messages that we have reported about and that other outlets have reported about, why there's not evidence of them, because it's sort of designed to not save them. We, from the beginning, found our source's account to be credible for a number of reasons. She had a remarkable amount of detail. And of course, like any account that we're planning to report on, we worked very hard to corroborate details. We reviewed text messages that she sent us from the time when she was telling her friends about these
Stardust City Hag said bro is too old for Snapchat. Aren't they all?
To us. We reviewed footage and photographs from the events that she mentioned, the gala after one of these assaults happened. We reviewed
Stardust City Hag. Let me go look at my local politicians are doing on Snapchat. Exactly. Like, no, we don't need politicians on Snapchat. Snapchat is for friends and whatever the heck else is going on there. I have not been on Snapchat in forever. I thought it was a dead platform. But, if this was 2019. Okay, yeah, I think I still had Snapchat on my phone in 2019. But Jesus, it's like, yeah, let me communicate with my not even my staffer. Let me communicate with my, just think of it as my employee, right? Let me communicate with this person I'm mentoring through Snapchat, instant disappearing messages. What? That, like, what? God, Facebook Messenger is more appropriate.
Video footage from that to confirm that Eric Swalwell indeed attended. We obtained a document that listed both her name and his name that included like a roster of people who were going to attend. So everything that she told us that we were able to verify checked out. And so that made us even more, confident in our reporting.
Sophia, if you would take us back to give us a bit of a timeline, if you would, and you went into it a little bit a moment ago, but what exactly was alleged, starting with 2019?
Yeah, so she told us that she went to work for Eric Swalwell in 2019. She was very young. She had just graduated from college, and she ultimately, he very quickly started texting her and sort of pursuing her in a flirtatious way shortly after she started working for him. And he started Snapchatting her these messages on this app where the messages disappear, and so it's hard to save them. And he started asking her for nude photos. He started sending her nude photos, and she said that at first, she was flattered by his attention, and also that she didn't want to upset him. He was her boss.
Right. The power. Her dynamic here is legitimate. Not only is she so young and just out of college, he's 17 years her senior. He's her boss. This is her first job.
Yes. And so she, didn't want to upset him.
Thank you. Oh, thank you, DVA. I'm sorry. I was so muted on that. That's good. That's fine. I was going to say it literally was, it sounds just like Monica Lewinsky in the way that she says, now recalling on the past of her with Bill Clinton, that, she was young, innocent, made a mistake, but ultimately at the end of the day, she was like, had a crush on my boss who just so happened to be the president of the United States, like it's a complex situation, a clear power imbalance. Someone is abusing their power and someone doesn't know how to deal with that big power abuse. So it's like, you're put in these tough situations. All right. Thank you. Thank you, DVA, always calling me out when I'm muted. I appreciate it.
And so she at first sort of went along with it. There was an incident that she described where she was driving him to an event and he tried to kiss her and she resisted. And then there was another incident where she was driving a number of weeks later. She was driving him to an event, and she says he pulled out his penis and he asked her to perform oral sex on him, and she did.
Bro, yeah, I'm driving. Just whip it out. No, what? Yeah, what is wrong with these people, bro? It's just like they really do only have one thing on their mind, and that clouds every other, legitimate judgment. Jeez.
Briefly, and then stopped because she was concerned that they might get caught, and she felt uncomfortable. And then later, she describes he invited her to dinner and drinks. It was sort of a group outing, and he bought her a number of drinks. She got more and more intoxicated, and at a certain point, she doesn't remember what happened, but she woke up the next morning in his hotel room, and she could feel that they had had sexual intercourse, and she then had to go and staff an event for him that he was doing in the district.
And this is all 2019?
This is all in 2019.
Yeah. So fast forward a little bit to 2024.
Yeah.
She's no longer working for him. She's in D.C., and she reaches out to him. And at that point, she thought that things it was so far in the past that maybe things she could get beyond it with him? Is that like help us understand what it was she thought she
because
would
that's what you would do as a
getting
normal
together with
person.
him again? Because a lot of people are going to say, well, why wouldn't you stay away from this guy?
Yeah. So she told us that she continued to have, after she stopped working for him, she continued to have a friendly relationship with him. She did use him as a job reference because she was very early in her career and he was very powerful.
Job, right?
And so she really felt like if she burned that bridge, if she upset him or ruined that relationship, that she could face really serious professional repercussions, and also that she would be judged very harshly. And they messaged before this gala that took place in 2024 because they were both going to be there. And essentially afterward, he asked her to meet up for drinks, or they agreed to meet up for drinks. And she did not plan for anything sexual to happen. She told my colleague Alexi that, she wanted to meet up with him to show that she was someone that, who was successful and should be taken seriously. And essentially she wanted to have, a professional relationship with this person who had been really instrumental in her career.
Yeah. She actually spoke with CNN about that evening, and I want to play a little bit of what she said.
After that bar closed, we went to another. I went to the bathroom, and I don't remember anything after that.
You don't remember anything?
I remember the next day, I can see flashes of that evening, of him on top of me, me pushing him off, him grabbing me. It was a lot more aggressive.
Jeez.
It was aggressive.
Did you say no?
Yes, I said no. In my flash that I can recall, I was pushing him off of me saying no.
And what did he do?
He didn't stop.
He didn't stop.
So that was the woman who was accusing Eric Swalwell of sexual assault, speaking to CNN's Pamela Brown, and you also spoke with her. When some of these allegations first started sort of vaguely popping up in social media ahead of your incredible report. Swalwell made this unusual decision to really come out ahead of them and say, I didn't do this. We've now heard since this story broke that, a lot of the people he was meeting with for endorsements had actually asked him if he had ever behaved inappropriately, and he had denied those allegations as well.
God.
Can you just talk about, and he sent cease and desist letters.
Sorry. Like you personally had to ask him before donating to him or whatever, hey, are these allegations true or not? And he lied to them too? Wow. I mean, you're in that deep, you can't dig yourself out. You have to keep lying, I guess. Oh my God, man. That was bad. That's bad.
To these women ahead of the story publishing. What's your kind of thoughts in response to what he had said at the time, which is like, oh, this is a political attack. The timing is suspicious. Obviously, it took you guys months to put this story together.
It was actually weeks.
Wow.
Closer to weeks, really, to put it together. But yes, it was a long time that we had been working on it. I attended the last public event that Eric Swalwell held.
100%.
He did this town hall event last Tuesday, so a week ago, in Sacramento. And that's really when he was getting these questions from reporters. Obviously, it takes time, as you noted, to put together a story like this and do the kind of rigorous fact-checking and corroboration that you need to do to, really verify that the things that people are telling you are worth reporting and are credible to the extent that you're able to confirm. And so at that point, no one had published any journalists, exactly, no specific allegations. No journalism outlets had published like a rigorous investigation.
Well, that's a good point, because there were a lot of these social influencers who have a lot of followers that were alluding to things. There were no specifics. And how did you, as a journalist, sift through all those rumors and, try to figure out, what was real, what was not, what was an exaggeration, so on?
Yeah, our reporting was really completely independent of these rumors that were circulating on social media. We saw them and we sort of interpreted them as a sign that others were looking into them, either other reporters or other, influencers were sort of looking into them.
Hell yeah, that's
so
me.
It did spur us to continue asking questions and, continue looking into it. But we didn't get any sources, for example, for our story through these political influencers who are also at the same time talking with some of these women. and making these sort of like vague posts about that there were allegations without specifics.
Yeah.
And Eric Swalwell on Tuesday basically completely denied everything. And at that point, like I said, there wasn't.
So
a
wait,
story
that was
out
like
there.
yesterday,
But
right?
he
Or last week? I think last week.
said there was no truth to any of the allegations that were floating around, that it was just a political attack. And that was essentially how he tried to get out ahead of this story.
What was your kind of thinking? Because, you know, we all know as members of the media, when you're working on an investigation, you're trying to sort of balance, you know, getting everything right and being really intentional about the timing of when you ask for a response from these types of things, you know, when you kind of tip your hand to the person who's the subject. Like, how were you guys all thinking about the timing of your story as these rumors started sort of gaining steam?
Yeah, we basically were just trying to verify everything as quickly as possible without pressuring our source to go on the record before she was ready. Right. That is, as you guys know, sometimes a very delicate balance to sort of build trust with someone. And my colleague Alexi did that with this source over a period of weeks. And it was really last week when she finally told him her whole story with all of the details.
Wow.
And then we worked very rapidly to confirm everything that we could. And as I mentioned, we're not able to find any inconsistencies in what she had told us. And so once we had done that initial corroboration work, I called Eric Swalwell directly, and I didn't reach him. I left him a voicemail saying that we had some very serious allegations that we wanted to ask him about. And I pretty much immediately got a call back from one of the consultants working with his campaign. And I just laid out for her exactly what we had been told. And I asked for a response.
Wow.
That is important because, of course, if there was some detail that, you know, we had been given by our source that was not true and they had some evidence. For example, if he, and we had by that point already confirmed that he was in the locations where she said that he was during these alleged assaults. But if they had some piece of evidence that some part of that wasn't true, that he was actually in a different location or he was with a different person, we would have run that down, and they did not. They provided one friend of his who was with him after the gala, but he did not. He wasn't there long enough to really dispute anything
So
that
they
our source had told us.
So the Chronicle story publishes in the afternoon on Friday, and then shortly thereafter, CNN runs its story with the same person you had spoken to and some other women as well.
Yes.
And then late Friday, Swalwell releases a videotape, and let's just hear a little bit of what he had to say.
Let's hear that.
These allegations of sexual assault are flat false. They are absolutely false. They did not happen. They have never happened. And I will fight.
What? No, sorry, I paused it. He said they did not happen. They were flat false. They have never happened. How can you trust someone after that? How can you?
Them with everything that I have. They also come on the eve of an election where I have been the frontrunner candidate for governor in California.
Sophia, what do you make? I mean, I know you're not a psychologist, but what do you make of the way the strength of his denial?
Yes.
Because when we talked to him earlier in the week, he said he wanted to be a protector
Yeah, he's
for
lying.
California. I mean, what do you call that? It's chutzpah. It's like, I don't know what you call it. It's just like this sense of invulnerability.
It is, and yeah, that statement that he made as you were playing it just now, it is kind of remarkable because he has since, I don't want to say he's walked it back because he has continued to deny sort of in general the allegations, though he has not.
He's denied the sexual assault allegations, or he says the most serious allegations,
Yes.
but he's apologized for mistakes he's made. He said it's between him and his wife. He sort of seemed to acknowledge infidelity in a subsequent statement.
My God.
So it's very unclear. I mean, in a way, it probably makes sense. These are potential criminal acts, and we know that the Manhattan DA has opened an investigation, a criminal inquiry. Alameda is considering it. Now in Los Angeles, you have a woman going.
Wow, Alameda County. Bashona in a box said, so he's lying. That's what it seems like. That's what it seems like. And then, so first, when the allegations got too big, he said they are flat lies. They aren't true. They never happened. And then what it sounds like, oh, you know, I didn't sexually assault anyone, but I had some issues with my wife and infidelity. Like, oh my God. Just admit everything. Just admit everything. Why this like slow deviate? So he's doing like the in between type of thing, which makes it seem like he's guilty. Exactly. And it's like, you know, at this point, I think he knew he was always guilty, right? Because like, how else can you deny that much with such conviction? It's like it's giving, Christian pastor who hates gay people and is actually secretly has homoerotic fantasies. It's just like, how can you say these things with such conviction? And then for it to turn around and be like, nope, you are lying. Like, yeah, you're lying.
Going to the sheriff's department and asking for an investigation. So, I mean, I think it makes sense that that would be what he focuses on. But when you parse his statements, it's a little unclear as to what he's owning up to, so to speak.
Exactly. He has not engaged specifically with really any allegations. He hasn't said anything like, one woman says I was in this location at this time and that's not true, or anything like that. He hasn't really engaged at all publicly with any of the specifics.
Of course,
and I
he
think
probably doesn't
that
even
initial
remember them.
statement that he put out by video, at that point, his supporters, his top endorsers, members of his campaign, people who had worked with his campaign, were already starting to quit or rescind their endorsements of him. But it really was a remarkable statement from him because it didn't really acknowledge any of that and was really just this flat denial, this vow to continue fighting, which is what you do if you're a politician if you think you still have a shot. And
he thought he still had a
it's been
shot.
really remarkable to see how quickly his chances of, having any sort of viable bid or political life really quickly eroded in the wake of these allegations becoming public.
Yeah, and just a few weeks earlier, we saw something similar, the New York Times investigation into Cesar Chavez and alleged rapes on his part. And his names came off of buildings and streets, and statues were covered up. Does this signal that, and what's happened to Swalwell now, does it signal, do you think, that we're in a new era of holding powerful men accountable?
I do think so. It's hard to imagine this swift of a response pre-Me Too movement. Just because, unfortunately, we've seen so many examples of this. And so I think not that the allegations that we've reported aren't shocking. I think they are. But we have seen similar things happen before. And I think that you really see that, the effect of all of those stories that came forward in 2018 and 2019. You're really seeing the effect of that in the response here.
Well, that's what strikes me. I mean, unfortunately, the underlying behavior and the fear that these women feel about coming forward to it exists, right? And so I don't think you can say we're in a brand new era, but I wonder if the swiftness of the response and really the fact that nobody credible has questioned these allegations, does that surprise you? Did you expect this type of response to the reporting?
I think this came together so quickly and we were so focused on just verifying the details that we could and being very fair to the congressman and giving him a chance to respond. That was part of the reason also that we were rushing to corroborate things quickly, to give him a chance to respond. And we did our best to give him as much time as we could. The swiftness with which his gubernatorial campaign and his career in Congress unraveled, I can't think of a similar example. I mean, you mentioned Cesar Chavez, but that's obviously a very different situation. And, all of these stories like this, the specifics are different. But I do think that the fear that women have of coming forward, and men, if they have been abused, it's common through a lot of these. When you're talking about powerful people who have allegedly sexually assaulted people, when I was first starting to hear these rumors, it did occur to me, maybe if this were true, people would have already come forward. And I think you're really seeing in the stories that are coming out now, both in our reporting and the reporting that other outlets like CNN have done, you've really seen why people did not come forward originally. And everybody has sort of different specific reasons, but a lot of it comes down to, in the specific case, that Swalwell was so powerful. He was on cable news.
It's always the power imbalance.
News all the time, weighing in on whatever the latest news was with Trump. He was just so famous and so powerful in Congress. And he, people felt that he really had the ability to ruin people's careers.
It seemed like he was going to be the next governor, potentially.
Yeah, he sure did.
Yeah.
Before we let you go, what are you going to be looking for in the coming days and weeks? It seems, or hours, everything changes so quickly.
Yes. Well, we're continuing to follow up on leads and, talk to anybody who might have stories about experiences that they've had with Eric Swalwell, and really try to get to the bottom of how widespread or how many inappropriate relationships he may have had. At this point, there are 5 women who have come forward, at least by the time we started taping this, with some sort of allegations of inappropriate behavior. But we're continuing to follow up on any leads that we get. And of course, we haven't talked much about the impact on the governor's race, but that is huge. He has suspended his campaign. He was, by some measures, the front runner. And so now that race is weeks before ballots are going out, is completely upended. So I think that's what we'll be continuing to follow.
Living through history.
Absolutely.
Sophia Bolag, congratulations again to you and your colleague, Alexei Koseff, for the reporting you did and will continue to do, I'm sure. And thanks for being here today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
All right, that is a
That
wrap
was
for
great.
Tuesday, April 14th. Political Breakdown is a production.
Sweet. Thank you, KQED. That's crazy. I think that about gives us all we need to know about Eric Swalwell. Well, I do kind of want to see what Nancy Pelosi would have said.
Now. I'm Melanie
But okay, yeah, we'll watch this, and then after that, I want to read one of my professor's articles on women and in politics. So let's watch this.
In Washington, and we begin with breaking news as Capitol Hill is rocked by new and disturbing allegations of assault and rape against embattled former Congressman Eric Swalwell, as both parties are dealing with misconduct investigations by their members. Swalwell's resignation from Congress was made official just moments ago on the House floor. Swalwell announced his resignation last night, which was followed less than an hour later by Republican Congressman Tony Gonzalez, announcing his retirement amid fallout from an affair he had with an aide who later died by suicide.
No.
Both men calling it quits as they were.
What is going on with these politicians? Jeez, but oh my God, did you hear how the broadcaster said that his aide committed suicide? Yeah, I shouldn't say that. That's crazy because she couldn't deal with Jesus. Okay, we'll look into this guy too after.
We're facing investigation by the
Well,
House
nah,
Ethics
he's a
Committee.
Republican. F
Swalwell's
him.
resignation coming after allegations surfaced from multiple women, including a former staffer, of sexual misconduct, ranging from inappropriate text messages to rape. Today, another woman came forward, accusing Swalwell of drugging,
Oh, this
raping,
is
and
the
choking her
one
in
from
2018.
Beverly Hills.
I believe he drugged my drink. I own.
Okay, sorry, we're not gonna watch that. I don't want to see her upset, and I think that's fair to say.
Allegation of sexual misconduct and assault that has been leveled against him. These accusations are false, fabricated, and deeply offensive. A calculated and transparent political hit job designed to destroy the reputation of a man who has spent 20 years in public service. We should note that Swalwell did apologize for what
Yeah, exactly. Lies.
he called mistakes in judgment in his resignation announcement. House Speaker Mike Johnson and Minority Leader
Mistakes in
Hakeem Jeffries today both responding to Swalwell's decision
More
to
than
leave
5
office.
times? More than 5 times. And it's just like, not 5 accidents, right? But like a mistaken judgment to send the Snapchat photo, mistaken judgment in sending the dick pic photo on Snapchat, mistaken judgment and, I don't know if it's true or not, but, drugging women's drinks, that's a mistaken judgment. Bro. God damn. What is wrong with people? Like, okay, he's so powerful, right? So powerful. Probably has more, he's probably not a billionaire or anything, right? But I'm sure he has money. Like, why not just why does it have to be your own staffers? Why does it have to be the people that work with you? Why does it have to be the people who you're supposed to be expected to be the least sexual with? Go out there, go to the strip club. I don't know. But why with your staffers, bro? Yeah, that's not a mistake, Deviate said. It's just a mistake that he got caught, right? I'm sure that's the biggest mistake he feels he's made, is that he got caught. Okay, sorry.
Decision by Gonzalez and Swalwell to resign. Do you believe they made the right decision?
I do. I mean, my views have been made known about the terrible allegations that were made, and obviously the facts that they both admitted to, and I think it was the appropriate thing.
Could you push Swalwell to resign?
Member conversations that I've had will remain private.
Why? Why do they remain private?
He's made the right decision.
He made
The allegations against
he made the
Swalwell,
right
who was a
decision, you
2020
mean?
presidential candidate, a Trump impeachment manager, and
I think that was Cory Booker.
a top candidate for governor in California, have rattled others on Capitol Hill. That includes Senator Ruben Gallego, who was close friends with Swalwell and chaired his 2020 presidential campaign. Gallego today responding to questions about what he knew and when.
Wait, Ruben Gallego worked with him? No. That's giving me, oof, you worked with him and you didn't know about these? I don't know. I don't want to be right on Ruben Gallego, but this is not a good sign.
Lied to all of us. He lied to the most powerful people in this country. And they trusted him. They trusted him with some of the most sensitive spots in our government, whether it was on Judiciary Committee, Intel Committee, impeaching Donald Trump. And that clouded my judgment, my friendship with him, our family's friendship together with him clouded my judgment. And I was wrong. I deeply, deeply regret that. I also had no knowledge of predatory behavior.
No knowledge?
Sexual assault or harassment.
Whoa,
NBC News chief Capitol Hill correspondent.
Sorry, this story just got way more. It just got way more swampy. Wow. Okay, hold on. I'm looking up stories on Ruben Gallego.
Ryan Nobles joins me now, along with NBC's Camila Bernal in Los Angeles and NBC News legal analyst Misty Maris. Ryan, I do want to start with you over on Capitol Hill. It's just been quite a stunning few days over on Capitol Hill. Let's start with Eric Swalwell, though, and his resignation. What specifically led to his decision to step down? Walk us through all of that.
It just became just a mountain of accusations against him and an unbelievable pressure campaign that just seemed to be too much for Swalwell to handle. And there was a very concerted effort here, one that I think was real, to pair the beginning of an ethics investigation with a potential expulsion resolution. Now, there was always the chance that that expulsion resolution may have been tabled pending the results of that ethics investigation. But it seemed as though, especially given the fact that there was also a Republican expulsion mention, a potential expulsion resolution connected to a Republican, Antonio Gonzalez, that you could pair with it, that there might have been enough support for that expulsion measure just to go through, and it became clear that Swalwell just did not want to deal with that anymore. So instead of going through that whole process, especially given the fact that he was not coming back to his congressional seat under any circumstance at the end of this term, Swalwell just decided to end everything today, effectively ending that congressional ethics investigation, but certainly not ending the legal trouble he is now facing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no
He's
doubt.
got to prepare
Ryan,
for
the
that.
allegations against him seem to be impacting some of his fellow Democrats, specifically those who have been close to him. What can you tell us?
You know, Melanie, up until about the middle of last week, there were many Democrats that were still rushing to the defense of Eric Swalwell. You'll remember that there was a social media influencer campaign that for weeks, maybe even months, had been floating the idea of these rumors connected to Swalwell and his misconduct. But they had yet to reveal any specific information. During that period of time, many of his fellow Democrats rushed to his defense, including Arizona Senator Ruben Gallego. Well, today, Gallego, actually, after calling for him to be expelled right before Swalwell resigned, said over and over again in a very tense 40-minute press conference that he had been lied to by Eric Swalwell, and even admitted that Swalwell's misdeeds, because of their close connection, could impact his political future. Listen to this back and forth with our Julie Serkin.
Let's listen.
Congressman, you have future political ambitions. How can people trust you to run for higher office if you didn't know that your best friend was engaging in even inappropriate behavior?
Wait, what? They're best friends? No. Their families knew each other? Oh my God. So you're telling me that this man was openly like at his best friend, like hanging around with his best friend and his wife, and he didn't have any idea that his best friend was doing, like, how do you look at your best friend's wife after that? Man, oh my God, they're besties. Nope.
Look, I messed up. I'm human. I trusted this man. I trusted him to watch my children. I would watch his children. He knew that I had just gone through the most bruising campaign, where I was accused of being a mule for the cartel, where my kids were subjected to TV commercials about what an awful human being I was.
Why is he making this about himself? I'm sorry.
And I was a loyal friend to someone that just was not loyal to me.
What?
Of course, Gallego has...
Oh my God. Deviate said, us men have to keep each other in check if we are aware of such behavior. Exactly. I see it no different than me telling one of my female friends, hey, this guy that's you're dating, probably not treating you the best you should be, right? Or even vice versa, hey, you know what? You shouldn't be wasting this guy's time, right? If you want something else, you want that, and he wants something else, why are you wasting his time? Like, how do you not know? I don't know. Sorry, men, I genuinely do not understand you. All men, I wish we could have a better understanding, but I just don't get it why like why sex is the first thing that comes to your mind whenever you see a woman or someone that you could take advantage of. That's just so disheartening. It's upsetting because as a woman, men and other women and everyone has told me my whole freaking life, do not let your body run your emotions, okay? Which, don't let really means when you're on your period, shut up and don't say anything because you're going to be emotional and blah blah blah. But if we can tell girls, hey, about once a month you're going to get kind of emotional, you're going to get, PMS, you're going to get, whatever. Be more aware of how your body chemistry is, because maybe that's not genuinely how you feel about a situation in the moment, right? Sure, you dropped a cup of milk, right? It's the end of the world because that was the last cup of milk and you're on your period and you want to have milk and cookies and blah blah blah. You get it. That's a legitimate time to cry over spilt milk, right? But like I don't get it how men can just be like the world is mine, or I don't know. I don't even know if men actively think this, but like the world, you're not having to be constantly told keep your emotions in check, right? But clearly there are men out there who need to be told keep your emotions in check. Sexual desire is an emotion and you need to keep that shit in check. Shake my head. All right. Continue. Let's continue about how somebody's best friend, they did not know he sexually assaulted so many people, even though they were probably coworkers together and had a lot of work relationship and probably a lot of outside work relationship stuff too. They're besties. You're telling me that Swalwell is not bragging to other men about the things he's done to his staffers or to his interns or whatever? I don't buy it.
Flirted with the idea of even running for president in 2028. He's visited some of the early states. He doesn't bat down the speculation surrounding it, but there is a growing campaign of people asking questions about Gallegos' association with Swalwell. He made it clear today he knew nothing of his alleged misconduct and was completely taken aback when he learned the details from some of these accusers. No.
Yeah, I assume those questions not going away anytime soon. Camila, I want to bring you into this conversation. You're in California right now. That's where the latest woman came forward today with some accusations. Walk us through all of that.
Yeah, so the accusations were obviously very disturbing and very graphic to hear. The accuser today saying it essentially was a relationship that she thought was a friendship. They had met through social circles because she had a business. She was a model here in Los Angeles, and she thought she could get some help from Eric Swalwell. And essentially what happened was that after 2 social encounters, she says there was a third encounter, and it was in that third encounter where she believes she was drugged and choked, and she said she essentially felt like she died. And what's important here is that they want a criminal investigation in all of this. The attorneys today saying, look, when you lose your job in Congress, that's not accountability. So they want to see this criminal investigation because they believe that that's how they will get justice in this case. And the accuser admitting that, yes, it took a long time for her to come forward because this happened in 2018, but saying that she does have evidence, that she has the text messages, she has that photo with him. She told other people. She also saw a therapist. So they believe they have a substantial case against Eric Swalwell. And so we'll see what happens moving forward. But they already went to the LA County Sheriff's Department to try to get that ball rolling, essentially, in terms of the investigation, and we'll see how this all develops. But specifically, they want that criminal investigation. Mel.
And Camila, I need to ask, what is the timeline on that investigation? Do we know what that could potentially look like?
DV8 said for sure he bragged about it. Yeah, I mean, like I know men brag about, the women they date or even the men they date, or just, men brag about who they sleep with. I know that for a fact. Why would you not do it when it's like extra hard mode and like, super scandalous and, not, of course, people love snitching on themselves, right? People love snitching on themselves. And so how would you not? Like, I don't trust Ruben Gallego saying he had no idea and that he feels that his friend is lying to him. That's crazy. Okay, let's hear about this other guy, Tony Gonzalez.
Through the balance of his term, but then once the drumbeat of expulsion surrounding Swalwell started to pick up, it was almost immediately connected to Gonzalez as well. And there was obviously kind of a political exit ramp here for those who didn't want to affect the margins in the House of Representatives between Republicans and Democrats, and the opportunity to vote yes on expulsion for both a Republican and a Democrat and not impact the margin.
The two parties were like, oh my God, we're having one Democrat leave. We gotta, hey, Republicans. It's just like with Al Franken. That was so weird. Okay, we'll go into that a little bit later, but geez.
Margin seemed enticing, which was one of the reasons that you thought maybe this is something that could happen even before the ethics investigation went forward. Just like Swalwell, Gonzalez did not appear to want any part of the potential of being expelled from Congress before his term was up. So he just decided to call it quits on his career as well. His career is effectively over at 11:59 tonight.
Yeah, just a remarkable turn of events over the last 24 hours. Ryan on Capitol Hill, Camila in California, thank you both so much. I do want to get some legal perspective now with our Misty Maris. Misty, let's start with the new allegations against Swalwell in California. What is the statute of limitations here, and what potential charges?
I don't want to know about the legal stuff. I'm sorry.
Still continue.
Swalwell's attorney says that the woman's allegations are fabricated and part of a, quote, calculated and transparent. With these disturbing allegations against now former Congressman Eric Swalwell, I just want to get your reaction to his decision and more generally to this moment in Congress, because it really does feel like a reckoning on Capitol Hill.
Well, it is a reckoning, and what my reaction is my reaction every time I hear allegations and actually see videos of sexual attacks and staffers placed in these kinds of positions. It's horrific. It shouldn't happen. We shouldn't tolerate it, and we have to make it safe for people to come forward and report what happened. And I think that even the time, at least the time it took for some of this becomes public, shows you that the Me Too moment wasn't as freeing as everybody felt, and that there are consequences when you tell people what happened to you. And unfortunately, that's still reality. I'm glad that he had enough sense to resign, so we didn't have to put the House through this, and that Tony Gonzalez should have resigned when he admitted to having an affair with the staffer who committed suicide by lighting herself on fire. Republicans should have done what Democrats to show the colleague.
Whoa, hold on. She lit herself on fire? Oh my God. Hold on. What's his name? Tony Gonzalez. Oh my God. Crazy. Okay, well, I'll let this keep playing.
Remember that they will not tolerate this behavior. But is a day of reckoning? I don't know. I've been living through a lot of things. I'm not old, but I'm seasoned. I have many of my own stories where you would never have dared come forward, and even when I asked for help, was told deal with it or leave. We're not there anymore. You don't have to do that. But we still have not gone as far.
Thank you. She was bringing that up in a good way, not in a put down young women way. Thank God. Yes, she's said that there's a time where if you did try to come out with these things, you either lose your career or forget about it. Thank God. And we need to continue creating a good environment where these things can come out and where people are ashamed to do it.
We want, and bad behavior will still continue.
Swalwell's attorney says that the woman's allegations are fabricated and part of a, quote, calculated and transparent political hit job. What is your reaction to that suggestion that these women are lying?
So I think the previous, the legal analyst that just preceded me talked about patterns. It does sound like many of the women are reporting similar things that happened. I do believe in due process, so that matters. But the congressman himself is admitting to mistakes that he made. People need to understand that when you are in an institution like this, you live in a fishbowl, and that you have to live up to a higher standard. And somehow he put himself in a place to be. That people have made these allegations. Now, I want to be clear. I never heard anything, or I would have gone and confronted him when I did it. But I'm now hearing from probably more men than women that there were rumors out there for a while. So, you know, people are entitled to due process.
The men
but
heard
I also
the
think
rumors, but
nobody
then
has to put up with
didn't
it.
do
Women
anything
are
about
too
it.
scared to come forward.
I know you say you haven't heard the rumors, but do you believe that the Democratic leadership had zero idea about any of this, given that you said there have been rumors circulating for quite a while about him?
But, you know, you would really be surprised at how everybody thinks that we all hear everything. But if you're somebody, I don't go out at night. Since my husband died, I'm never dating again. I don't want to have any. So I work. I go to events and I work. I think that there.
What? Is this the time to talk about this? Yeah. Well, she's from Michigan, I think, right? She said, since my husband died, I'm never going out. I'm never dating again. Okay. Bless your heart. What was her name? Oh my God. She said, I'm staying faithful. She's from Michigan. Debbie. Her name is Debbie Dingle.
Everybody thinks that we all hear everything. But if you're somebody, I don't go out at night. Since my husband died, I'm never dating again. I don't want to have any. So I work.
I don't want to have
go
any
events and
what?
I work. I think that there are a group of people that do talk to each other at night, try to help relax, have social lives. But I do believe leadership hadn't heard about it because I know them, and I think if they had, they would have confronted it. And the one person I know, if she had heard it, would have decimated him, and that's Nancy Pelosi.
I do want to turn to the ongoing shutdown of the
Nancy
Department
Pelosi.
of Homeland Security. Congressional Republicans are working to fund the department without Democratic votes. Do you think Democrats need to reconsider some concessions in order to not leave the shutdown empty-handed?
Look, I'm going to tell you this point blank. We need guardrails for ICE, and it is inexcusable that the Republicans are still playing games and that TSA is not being funded. Proposals have been put out there. The Senate has voted on them that would fund the TSA, the Coast Guard, FEMA, which need to be done. And Republicans are trying to put the blame on us. I think the American people think ICE needs guardrails. And when I went to TSA this morning to come back here, they all talked to me. They are hurting. They are scared. Yes, they got partial
TSA.
payments. They're due. They're owed back pay. One of the TSA agents said to me, I can't afford my school loans. I mean, we're organizing
Wow,
food banks.
that's
This
bad.
is inexcusable. We shouldn't have been out. We should have been here for the last 2 weeks, and we need to figure out how we're going to get people that keep us safe paid, period. And that's their responsibility as well as ours, but we also need guardrails on ICE.
You know, Republicans are talking about funding ICE and CBP and the broader agency now for 3 years.
TV8 said, I got to go now. Have a good stream. And again, why are we punishing people for speaking out? We need to normalize calling out bad behavior without feeling guilty about it. 100%. Thank you, DV8. Have a good rest of your day. Appreciate you being here. Have a good one.
Through reconciliation. That would mean no Democratic input for the rest of this Trump administration. Could that not be a worse outcome than if Democrats had come to the table on a compromise?
Well, one, do you and I know that reconciliation wish is even going to happen? And two, if we win the House and Senate back, we are going to fight very hard to ensure that we aren't making the TSA and others a ping pong ball in all of this, but to go back and undo damage that we are seeing, starting with the big bad bill.
Recently, NBC News did speak to some voters in Michigan about how they feel about the Democratic Party, their assessment of the party heading into the midterms. I want you to take a listen to some of what they said.
I'd like to know, what are the key characteristics or traits that best describe today's Democratic Party?
Subdued.
All right, Paul?
Disjointed.
Cindy?
All right. That's that on that coverage. Tony Gonzalez's story sounds horrific, but let's read real quickly this Politico story on Ruben Gallego. How do I? Okay. I fell for it. Gallego gives emotional remarks following Swalwell sexual assault allegations. The Arizona Democratic senator said he regrets not seeing the signs that his colleague was a predator. Senator Ruben Gallego said his former close friend, Representative Eric Swalwell, betrayed his trust following revelations of sexual assault allegations and denied having any knowledge of the serious accusations lodged against the California Democrat. Eric Swalwell lied to all of us, lied to the most powerful people in this country, and they trusted him, Gallego, an Arizona Democrat, told reporters Tuesday afternoon in his office. I fell for it, Gallego said, adding that Swalwell became very good at being a predator. Okay. Swalwell, who served with Gallego in the House, has withdrawn his bid for California governor and announced plans he will resign from Congress following multiple sexual misconduct allegations. I let this man into my family. It hurts me that this man hurt a lot of people. Gallego, who's chaired Swalwell's 2020 presidential campaign, said in an emotional remarks where he at times appeared on the verge of tears. Weird. I mean, not that it's bad that a man is showing emotions, but it's just like, okay. While Gallego conceded he had long heard rumblings that Swalwell was flirty. Oh, he knew that his friend was flirty. He insisted he was unaware of the severity of the charges being lodged against Swalwell by former staffers, including can't say that. Look, we socialized, we went out, but I never saw him engaged in any of the predatory behavior, harassment, assault, or anything like that, Gallego said. I'm sorry, we didn't listen closer. He apologized to the victims of Swallow's alleged misconduct and pledged to hand over to the authorities electronic communications he had with Swalwell as part of any legal proceedings. Gallegos also said revelations about Swalwell have made him reconsider rumors he heard previously about sexual transgressions involving elected officials in Washington and reevaluate occasions where he might have crossed boundaries within his own professional circles. What? He said, "Oh wow, I got to think about all the interactions I had because I might have sexually harassed someone." That what? That's what he's literally saying. Okay. Gallegos also said revelations about Swalwell have made him reconsider rumors he's heard previously about sexual transgressions involving elected officials in Washington and reevaluate occasions where he might have crossed boundaries within his own professional circles. Bro, I swear. I definitely look at the world a different way now, said Gallego. I certainly am going to make sure that I'm going to take, personal steps and office steps to make sure that we don't get close to any gray line. Well, I mean, there you shouldn't have to worry about getting close to a gray line if you're not purposely trying to blur the lines like it sounds like Swalwell was. Gallego did not directly address whether his connection to Swalwell would discourage him from potentially pursuing his own presidential bid in 2028. Our full consideration is, first of all, what the hell just happened, he said. Jesus. Okay. Thank you, Politico. Okay, we already covered that story. I want to read this fun thing now. Okay. So this is from Professor Conroy. This was published April 3rd, 2026, titled "The Number of Women in Trump's Cabinet is Shrinking." Interesting. There's a saying that goes, once is an accident, twice is a coincidence, 3 times is a pattern. Yep. By that logic, this may still be coincidence, but it's a revealing one. With the ousting of Attorney General Pam Bondi this week, both of Trump's fired cabinet members, Bondi and also former Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, are women. Does it matter that Bondi and Noem were the first to go? I don't know, does it? All the President's Men. As I co-wrote for 538 in 2021, Biden started his administration with a record number of women in his cabinet. A measly 5 of 15 roles. That's a record. Treasury had Janet Yellen. Interior had Deb Haaland. Housing and Urban Development had Marcia Fudge. I don't even know these people. Commerce had Gina Raimundo. And Energy, Jennifer Granholm. I don't know. The only one I remember is Janet Yellen. As shown below, women have largely been excluded from the president's cabinet for most administrations, which is why a mere 5 women serving when Biden came to office was record-breaking. Only have data from Carter forward handy. Okay, well, I doubt that people before Carter actually had women in their cabinets too. So, okay, look, here's this cool little graph um, showing the different positions in the cabinet, and each year we're looking for purple. Purple is female. And Biden had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Trump had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Trump 1 had 1, 2, 3. Who was the Secretary of Transportation? Oh, see, Secretary of Transportation, Biden gave that to Pete Buttigieg. That could have been an easy woman W, but he had to give it to Pete Buttigieg. Okay, that's interesting. Position didn't exist. Okay, cool. The first ever female cabinet member was Frances Perkins, who served as Secretary of Labor under FDR. Wow. While the State Department saw its first woman when Clinton nominated Madeleine Albright, oh, I remember that name, in the 90s. Hillary Clinton would later fill that role under Obama. But the Department of Defense remains all male throughout all those administrations and those before it, as has Veterans Affairs. Oh, do we have a Department of Veterans Affairs? I guess not on the list. Okay. Turning to Trump's second term, notably, while his campaign leaned hard into hypermasculine posturing and appeals to men, he matched Biden's record by also filling 5 cabinet roles with women. Attorney General Pam Bondi, Homeland Security Kristi Noem, Agriculture Brooke Rollins, Labor Lori Chavez de Remier, and Education Linda McMahon. Wasn't Betsy DeRoss in his first? Yeah, Secretary of Education under first Trump. Interesting. Of course, appointing women to your cabinet is not enough to suggest an administration is committed to gender equality. Both Noem and Bondi have been some of the most vocal, attention-grabbing, and embattled members of Trump's cabinet, which is why it may be unsurprising they are among the first to go. But other vocal, attention-grabbing, and embattled cabinet members like Hegseth of Defense and RFK Jr. of Health and Human Services remain, underscoring that who exit power is not random. Well, I mean, I guess if I was a conservative and I was, in support of Trump, I would say, well, Pete Hegseth and RFK Jr. are actually doing a good job. I don't know about Hegseth. He's kind of crazy with the Venezuela and the Iran stuff. But RFK Jr., he's making America healthy again. Yeah, that's what I would say if I was conservative. But I mean, it's clear that Kristi Noem, and Pam Bondi have these super controversial roles. Okay, welcome, then sacrificed. If patterns of exit are revealing, then who is allowed to enter and under what conditions is equally telling. And I want to start there. In the GOP, women's inclusion has always been fraught. The GOP has never been especially welcoming to women, but who it has welcomed has shifted over time. In the 1980s and 1990s, figures like Sandra Day O'Connor and Olympia Snowe, moderates who played by the party's rules, were elevated. They signaled inclusivity without threatening core power structures. Yeah, but weren't they just like tokens, essentially? Today, the party's preferred women look very different. Marjorie Titan Green, Lauren Boebert, and Laura Loomer. Sorry, I will never call her Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's Marjorie Titan Green because she got those Attack on Titan. She got that Attack on Titan grin. These figures align closely with the party's hard right base and thrive on visibility, often at the cost of stability or broader political influence. Moderate Republican women like Senator Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins, who are much older than the aforementioned women, are now exceptions, frequently positioned in opposition to party orthodoxy rather than safely within it. I guess I don't know anything about Susan Collins or Lisa Murkowski. I just know their names. Speaking of coincidences, it's hardly one that since the post 2010 era, the GOP has nominated far fewer women than Democrats to positions of political power, as they left the moderate era largely behind. See Thompson's book, Opting Out of Congress. As Rebecca Treistier has expertly argued, women who aspire to positions of political power in today's GOP largely must be willing to perform a particular version of femininity that is at once hyper aggressive but also polished and attuned to the taste of the party's patriarchal center. 100%. And we will watch after this video about MAGA face. Traster's reporting captures the contradictions that conservative women today navigate. They are expected to project maternal warmth, sexualized beauty, and unquestioning loyalty to male authority, even as they wield political influence. That contradiction is one that a lot of women, even conservative women, are unable to hold, and their numbers are dwindling. Kristi Noem exemplified the efforts to embody all the contradictions, undergoing MAGA makeover, there you go, called it, which has been the subject of much commentary. She transformed from a seemingly once practical ranch-raised legislator with a plain-spoken Midwestern persona. Bro, there's no Midwest. No, I'm just kidding. Into a high-gloss figure whose appearance and comportment. Oh my God, what a weird word. Comportment align with the party's Trump-era feminine ideal. Hold on, I need a behavior. Let me look up this word. I want to learn. Oh, behavior/bearing. You called it. Thank you. Okay, comportment. So their behavior align with party Trump era feminine ideal. She now sports long wavy hair extensions and has much more sculpted cheekbones. These aesthetic changes better align with the optics and fantasies of Republican men in Trump's orbit. As many have already written, example, Marie Claire. I don't even know how to say that. Is Marie Clary, right? Marie Claire. Wow. The magazine. Yeah, now I've outed myself. I've never read that magazine. This makeover is not merely cosmetic. It is performative political labor signaling loyalty, discipline, and marketable charisma. And I think another thing that would be on point, like this line right here, is literally Drewski. You know how Drewski dressed up as a conservative white woman, although it looked a lot like Miss Erica Kirk. It was just basically, is the makeover is not only cosmetic, it's this performative political virtue signaling, I'm simultaneously sexy, but also I will never sleep with anyone else other than my husband. And I don't even have a husband yet, but I'm gonna, and it's just like, whoa, 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 hold on. You're just one woman. You cannot be all these things. And you shouldn't be expected to be all these things. And you shouldn't even expect of yourself to be all these things because it's crazy. Figures like Bondi, though less publicly stylized, navigate similar terrain. To be welcomed into influence with the modern party, a woman must demonstrate both ideological compliance and a mastery of the aesthetic and performative cues that Trump and his allies prize. In other words, the Republican Party's women are judged not only by what they stand for, but on how their bodies and images register within a meticulously policed gender hierarchy. Bars. Despite their contortions, Republican women remain precariously positioned. The very traits they adopt to gain legitimacy in male dominated hierarchy, beauty, performative loyalty, hyper-aggression, can be turned against them, exposing them as either too feminine to be taken seriously or too assertive to be allowed power. Their survival depends less on talent or experience than on navigating a shifting set of expectations defined by men who ultimately prioritize male peers. 100%. The MAGA wife is just a flex on your MAGA bros. This explains why, even after mastering the MAGA makeover and bending over backwards to signal fealty, women in this sphere are often first to go when the party falters or the spotlight shifts. Their labor, emotional, aesthetic, and political, is consumed to uphold a system that will discard them once they are no longer convenient ornaments. Damn, that's 100% true. In other words, the more they perform their role assigned to them, the more disposable they become. I doubt their experiences will serve as a warning to other women who aspire to similar positions of influence, but they should. Nah, don't doubt yourself. Conroy, I have faith in the younger generation. Women, we live in a post Me Too world. Me Too was how many years ago? Like at least more than, it was definitely more than 5, more than 8, almost 10 years, right? Here we go. We got Wikipedia. Hashtag Me Too. The phrase Me Too was initially used in social media around 2006, but the hashtag Me Too movement was in 2017. So here we are, almost 9 years later. A lot of, I would say, a lot of young women that are growing up today, that will be entering the workforce in, I don't know, 5-10 years, they live in a post Me Too world. So I would hope that seeing all of this stuff, not just because it's not just Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky, right? It's not just, I'm trying to think of other big sex scandals of politicians in the 90s and early 2000s. And thank God Barack Obama was loyal to his wife. And the only sex scandal was some crazy white guy, homeless white guy in Chicago who was saying that Obama paid him for gay sex one time. And it's like, no, that's not true, brother. But yeah, so I don't know. I hope that men also are growing up in a post Me Too world. I don't know if that would make them double down and try to go back to the pre-Me Too world, or or if they would be more inclined to accept it. But um, okay, let's finish the article. As always, I like to end with some story recommendations. Oh, this is just like this is just like Paul Krugman, but instead of story recommendations, he just does a music video. I love people on Substack. They're hilarious. Okay, Jason Okende, behind the rise of clavicular and looks maxing. That sounds like a good. Welcome to Hating Yourself, Boys. It's bad. Number 2, Nathan Tyler Pemberton. I think MAGA is dying inside the youth movement at CPAC. Yup. MAGA is dying and unfortunately being replaced with something far more sinister. Ooh, I don't know. That's scary. Jessica Gross, new dads aren't a waste of space. Okay. The wave of men talking about masculinity is probably a good thing, but the myth that infants don't need fathers simply will not die. Yeah. Birthright Con. Okay. Okay. Thank you for all the going to the movies is cool again. Can someone look into whether Letterbox has something to do with it? Those four favorite videos are always such a joy to watch. Here are mine: Goodwill Hunting, A League of Their Own, Gattaca, and Bridesmaids. Those are Conroy's four favorite movies: Goodwill Hunting, A Lotto, Gattaca, and Bridesmaids. I mean, I'm not judging. Three of those movies are great movies. One of them is an awful movie that I will that I hate. But we'll leave that for people to find out. All right, thank you, Professor Conroy. Be sure to like her Substack. Let me link it in the chat so that way, it's in the chat. Oh my God, compartment was still in my. Oh my God. Okay. Here we go. C, Control V. Perfect. All right. Okay, so we need to talk about this Bible banning. But shown in a box, you'll have to figure it out. You will have to figure it out. Okay. Southern California School District. Actually, here, let's watch this. Oh, that's big.
Leslie Marin is live tonight in school libraries. That is the question in Redlands tonight. CBS LA's Leslie Marin is live tonight in Redlands. And Leslie, the school board is still debating what to do.
Yeah, Susie, actually moments ago, the school board did vote to keep the Bible King James Version at their schools here in Redlands. But I'll tell you, tonight wasn't just about banning the Bible. For some people, they questioned banning books at all.
You should not remove the Bible from the library.
The King James Bible at the center of a book ban controversy during tonight's Redlands Unified School Board meeting.
To ban the Bible takes intellectual dishonesty.
Out of the 24 people who spoke, no one agreed it should be banned, but there was a clear divide.
This is no accident. Promoting your own perspective while banning stories that represent other communities, that is hypocrisy.
The school board's review of whether or not to pull the Bible from shelves comes following a new district policy that allows anyone to file complaints to potentially remove books deemed inappropriate for students. Each complaint goes through a review process before the board gets the final decision.
But I sure don't want classic books like Handmaid's Tales to be banned either.
Pat Molnar has been a teacher at Redlands High School for 30 years. She, along with other critics, questioned if the review policy was being implemented fairly.
I just want them to consistently apply rules and not take away works of great literature.
To explain why this book, which does include sexually explicit language under your definition, is somehow different from the other books that you have banned.
This year, the district has banned Push by Sapphire, while The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison is now restricted to students over 18 with parental consent. Several people in favor of the policy said the books banned and the Bible don't share the same message.
Look at those subjects that are addressed in the Bible. They are presented as a clear violation of God's law.
Sorry, I didn't know God's law applied to public school. Oh man, sorry. Religious people.
So currently, the Bible is available at all the high schools here in Redlands, but there was discussion tonight to make it available at libraries at all schools and all grade levels. Reporting live in Redlands, Leslie Marin, CBS LA.
All right, Leslie,
Wow.
thank you so much.
Thank you. That's crazy. That's crazy. I was hoping
Republican Corey Mill.
Oh my God. I was hoping that like who pushed to ban the Bible? Like was it a protest against a group, but I was thinking it was maybe Together for Redlands. Hold on, let me check out their stories. Am I having bad internet connection? Okay. Okay, maybe it's just this. That's not working. Okay. Okay. I think we're good. All right, hold on.
Homelessness. How would you address the homelessness crisis in California?
So, wow, that was a lot of homelessness. Wait, is Eric Swalwell? Oh, he is there. All right. You know what? Let's actually watch this Katie Porter interview on KQED because I don't know anything about Katie Porter, so she's running for governor. She might very well be in one of the top spots now. Let's watch.
Is great at rewarding the winners. It is great at incentivizing risk-taking. What it's not good at, what it doesn't tell us, is what to do when those risks don't pan out, what to do to help people start over. And bankruptcy is really our legal system's answer to what to do when people do what capitalism tells them to do, which is take a risk, try to buy a house, go get a college degree, take on some student debt. And then what happens when those things start a small business? When they don't work out, bankruptcy is that safety net for people. So I've really spent my whole career in some ways working on issues relating to families being able to afford things. And so now that Democrats are all about affordability, I say welcome. I'm really excited. This has been my life's work. And I'm so glad that all the candidates are talking about this, not just in California, but across the country.
Hey, everyone, from KQED in San Francisco, this is Political Breakdown. I'm Marisa Lagos.
And I'm Scott Schaefer. Today on The Breakdown, we continue our series of interviews
like
with the many
people.
candidates running to
show.
be California's next governor. Katie Porter was elected to the House of Representatives in 2018, flipping an Orange County seat that had long been held by Republicans. A protege of Senator Elizabeth Warren, Porter made waves in Congress with her incisive grilling of CEOs and other corporate leaders.
A consumer advocate and UC Irvine law professor, Porter lost a bid 2 years ago to represent California in the U.S. Senate. Now the single mom of 3 is running for governor. Katie Porter, welcome back to Political Breakdown.
Great to be here.
We are happy to have you. We have been opening all these interviews with the same question, which is just who are you politically and what's your vision for the state?
Yeah, my vision for the state is one that is better than it is today. We have to have both optimism but also determination. So I want to see a California that's growing in terms of the businesses that are here, but also in terms of the people that are here. I'm a mom of 3 teenagers. I want them to be able to afford to live here. I want there to be jobs in the future that's going to have different technologies coming at us. So I think Democrats need to be optimistic, be forward thinking. It's very tempting with Trump throwing so many things at us right now to point to Trump as the cause of all problems, because he is the cause actually of so many problems. But many of our longstanding challenges in California around cost of living, around housing, these are things that predated Donald Trump. Right. And so I think I'm really focused on not only standing up to Trump, but not ever letting Trump distract me from delivering a better California for the future.
And we want to dig into some of that more specifically in terms of policy. But going back to when you were a kid, you were born in, is it Fort Dodge, Iowa?
I was born in Fort Dodge, Iowa. I grew up on a farm about a mile outside of a little town called Lorimer. I was a 9-year 4-H'er.
Okay. Was your family actually farming?
Yes.
What did they grow?
They grew cows. They did grow cows. They had corn, soybeans, cows, and pigs. Okay. So kind of a diversified Midwest farm. And I actually lived, after I lived in Fort Dodge, I lived in the house that my great-grandfather had built.
Oh, wow.
And my grandfather had been there as a child, and my father had lived there as a child, and I lived there as a child.
So your mom's kind of famous, though. She was a legendary quilter. She actually had a PBS show at one point.
No way.
Tell us a little bit about her, and do you quilt? Like, have you carried this on?
So I would say I used to quilt.
Okay.
I haven't
your
done any
time now?
quilting recently, but I do have quilts on my walls in my home that I made, as well as some that my mom made. My mom was like a lot of parents. She was there at home with us. We were isolated from a town. It was a long drive into a very small town that didn't have daycare. So my mom wanted to find a way to earn some money and do some work without having to travel into town. So she started her sort of what became a quilting empire, really, at our dining room table. And she started out teaching herself how to quilt, and then writing books to teach other people how, and then began began to have a public TV show that did that, a magazine that did that. And so she's a great example of an entrepreneur who was, built her own business and is very successful with
Did she have like a unique kind of quilt?
No, my mom is more focused on helping people actually be able to do quilting. So she would never thought of herself as an artist. She thought of herself as more of a craftsperson, and that what she wanted to do was be able to help people.
Don't get me started on the artist versus crafter.
I'm very proud of, and I like to remind my siblings of this.
I have a lot of words on that.
Sunbonnet Sue, and my Sunbonnet Sue is a picture of a woman in profile with a sunbonnet and a dress, and my Sunbonnet Sue doesn't have any arms because my mom thought the arms looked hard, and it was her first quilt, so she left it off.
Love that. Well, I don't know how political your family was, but you have talked a lot in the past about how your kind of political awakening came as a kid watching the farming crisis in the 1980s really wreak havoc in the state you lived in and that whole region, leading to mass bankruptcies. I guess, first of all, was your family personally affected, and what did you kind of take away from seeing that as a child?
Yeah, my family was personally affected by the farm crisis. I don't know any family in the Midwest that wasn't. This was in the mid-'80s. We were fortunate not to have to declare bankruptcy, but that was only because my father had a college degree, was able to go to work in town. He actually went to work for the Farmers Home Administration doing loan workouts on fellow farmers, and a lot of what he had to tell people was, you can't keep doing this. There's not a path forward. And so we very slowly over time were able to, we lost the farm, but it was sort of a controlled, slow loss. I recently was looking through some things that belonged to my grandfather, and I found a bill of sale for a farm sale he had in the 1940s when he had been unable to afford farming even then. But I think one of the things about being in Iowa, and it's just really different from California, is in Iowa, everybody thinks that it's their job to personally meet and evaluate the candidates for president.
Right.
Like, you're very empowered.
Oh, why does Iowa feel like this, chat? If only there was some book we read that had a historic story about Iowa and why they have to be the first people to have the caucus. So now, yeah, I get it. If every Iowan thinks, oh my God, I got to meet the president personally, no wonder they think the Iowa caucus is so important, and that's why it has to go first every time. Jesus.
As an Iowa voter. So here in California, I think most people don't get a chance to meet candidates. They're watching ads, they're reading things.
Watching Political Breakdown.
And I love retail campaigning. I love shaking hands. So I think one of the things about Iowa is you really have a sense that voters should have that level of engagement with you. How you scale that up to a state with 39 million people is a real challenge. But growing up, we heard all these candidates come. They all came to Iowa. They all made big promises. Everybody wanted our vote. You really had a sense that your policy choices, your political choices mattered.
Sorry, these presidential candidates really wanted your vote because y'all made it like you gotta love us first, president. You gotta smoosh and wine and dine Iowans first. Yeah.
And then when the farm crisis hit, Democrats and Republicans forgot about us. And I think when you look at a lot of where Iowa has gone politically, which is from a blue state to a purple state to now a pretty deep red state, some of that is about feeling like people didn't keep their promises. It's a more cynical vision of government.
You were a very smart kid, and then you went to Yale. For
I was a nerd. Thank you, Scott.
were a nerd.
What the heck? You went to
Overachiever,
Yale?
or just maybe not
That's where
overachieved,
J.D.
but you
Vance
did well.
went. She achieved.
You spent time in Hong Kong teaching English. Then you started law school at Harvard. What did you think you'd be doing with a law degree?
Well, first I want to say I actually taught math and so I was an 8th grade math teacher, which, believe it or
that
not,
helped with the whiteboards. Right?
Yes, but 8th grade math is actually like the greatest thing ever.
Tell me, I have an incoming 8th grader.
I love it. So I would do really fun things with my 8th graders, like musical monomials, where I would write a bunch of polynomials that could be simplified into monomials on the playground. And then
my God, I'm tuning out right now.
Simplify and find a monomial, or you were out.
She said we're talking about monomials and polynomials. I got transported back to 7th grade. I hate math.
Sounds like a blast, Katie.
I did Battleship with graphing. Like I told you, I was a nerd. When I got my law degree, I think when I went to law school, I wasn't certain what I wanted to do. But I think that was, I kind of decided between becoming an academic in another field and then becoming a lawyer, and I ended up becoming a legal academic. Right. But it was transformative for me when I took Elizabeth Warren's bankruptcy class. She was known as a tough teacher. It was supposed to be a hard class.
Whoa,
it was my last year.
Elizabeth Warren taught at Yale, or was it Harvard, she said?
Teacher. It was supposed to be a hard class. It was my last year of law school.
Hold on. Sorry, I need to go back.
And then becoming a lawyer, and I ended up becoming a legal academic. Right. But it was transformative for me when I took Elizabeth Warren's bankruptcy class.
Elizabeth Warren was a teacher? Oh my God, sorry. I need to look this up. No, it doesn't. She's a snake still. No, I'm sorry. It's just what she was teaching. It's just I get the Bernie Sanders broken heart every time. I hear Elizabeth Warren, and it's like, damn, she taught bankruptcy classes. That's so cool. Why does she have to fail us by hating on Bernie?
She was known as a tough teacher. It was supposed to be a hard class. It was my last year of law school. It met early in the morning. And really, I'll never forget, I still have the notes from her first day lecture. And what she said really anchors me today, which is capitalism is great at rewarding the winners. It is great at incentivizing risk-taking. What it's not good at, what it doesn't tell us, is what to do when those risks don't pan out, what to do to help people start over. And bankruptcy is really our legal system's answer to what to do when people do what capitalism tells them to do, which is take a risk, try to buy a house, go get a college degree, take on some student debt. And then what happens when those things start a small business? When they don't work out, bankruptcy is that safety net for people. So I really spent my whole career in some ways working on issues relating to families being able to afford things. And so now that Democrats are all about affordability, I say welcome. I'm really excited. This has been my life's work, and I'm so glad that all the candidates are talking about this, not just in California, but across the country.
All right. Well, we were just talking before the break about you going to law school, studying under now Senator Elizabeth Warren, and you go on to become a professor. I know before that you worked on this too, but at University of Iowa, you started looking at bankruptcy and its relation to mortgage fraud. This is before the mortgage meltdown of the late 2010s, or around 2010. What were you looking at? What did you find in that research? Because you were kind of swimming against the grain at the time.
Absolutely. At the time, the housing market was booming. It was powering our whole economy in many ways, really, at that time. And there were all these new kinds of mortgages being piloted. We saw homeownership rates were growing. But I have always been really interested in how things work in the real world. And so my research was never academic in the sense that I studied families in bankruptcy. And so I had a colleague who had done a case trying to help someone defend her house from foreclosure using the bankruptcy process. And what she had learned was that the bank had no idea how much money this woman actually owed.
Oh my
and
God.
so she was able to get the judge to order the bank to not try to collect, because there's like, you don't know what the debt, you don't get to collect it. And this question this woman came to me with was, is this a fluke? Is this just the unluckiest borrower in America? Or is this where we really are? So we started looking at the documents that mortgage companies filed in bankruptcy when they wanted to get paid. And what we found was that widespread flaunting the law. So I wrote an article called Misbehavior and Mistake in Bankruptcy Mortgage Claims. And there was a lot of discussion at the time. I remember pushback from folks on my faculty who were tenured, and I was pre-tenure, saying, you really can't prove it's misbehavior. And I think now about how we understand that period.
Yeah.
And so that research wound up on the front page of the New
Wait, they're talking about the housing market or the housing bubble, right? And one of the big things is that banks were giving out like loans to people they probably shouldn't have been giving out loans to. And these other professors were calling her out and saying it's not misbehavior. And now we know today it's 100%, well, maybe like 80% the loan people's fault. Jeez.
New York Times. It sparked a congressional hearing where I went and testified, and really became the foundation for understanding just how systemic the problems were. The foreclosure system was not ready. The mortgage companies did not have the ability to keep track of what people owed when they didn't pay on time and in full. They were good at collecting your check if you paid on time and in full, but it was a mess, and they didn't know who owned the note. We know now all the paperwork problems. And so that work really, I came to California during that period. I taught a year at UC Berkeley, and then went to teach at Harvard for a year, and then back to California to teach at UC Irvine. And it was during that time that the attorney generals negotiated a big settlement, and Kamala Harris came into my life.
Yeah, and tell us about that relationship
so-
and what you did while you were working with her, for her.
Yeah, I'll never forget.
Hold on. Katie Porter was raised by Elizabeth Warren and Kamala Harris. If she runs for president, the right is going to like tear her apart. But who knows what the right will be like in a few years.
Actually, the first time I spoke to the vice president, then our attorney general, because I had just had my third child, Betsy, and I was a working mom, and I had come into the office.
Why did you name your
and I was
child
desperately
Betsy?
trying to
I'm
finish-
sorry. Is that her name? Oh. Why would you name you had a child post 2000 whatever, and you named her Betsy? She just named her Gertrude.
Something. And I had put Betsy, like she was my third kid, so I was pretty casual.
Yeah.
So I had just put a blanket on the floor and set Betsy down and figured how far can she roll, right? And the phone rang and I answered it, and it was the attorney general. And I remember thinking just like, please don't cry, Betsy, please don't cry. And I actually at one point, like Betsy started to fuss, and I told Kamala, I'm with my daughter.
She loves babies.
And she loves babies, which is a well-known thing. So, but what she said to me, I think was such an important insight and really motivated a lot of what I went on to do in Congress, which is it's easy for people to make promises. it's really hard for them to make changes. And she had negotiated all of these promises from the banks to change how they foreclosed, to follow the law,
actions
for
speak
example,
louder than
to
words.
provide help to people who maybe couldn't pay their whole mortgage, but could pay most of it and could save their homes. And she was really concerned that they made the promises, they signed the deal, but who was going to make sure on the ground that Californians actually got help? And that's what she tasked me with doing. So we stood up a program. We worked across the state of California. We operated in 5 languages. And we took phone calls from homeowners who were getting paperwork from the bank. One of my favorite cases we worked on, somebody got a notice of foreclosure. The house was foreclosed on. And the next day, they got a letter forgiving their mortgage loan.
Wow.
And so we forced the bank to cut a check to that family for 6 figures and to make it right. And so one of the things I think I've thought a lot about is it's not about what you announce at a press conference. Lawmakers do that. We pass laws and we have press conferences. Governors do that. It's about what actually happens in people's lives. And this is why, fast forward, I drive a minivan with a license plate that spells out oversight, because I think it's really, really important that we try to close the gap between the goals of the law and what we're actually doing on the ground.
You know, you've brought up your kids several times in this conversation. They're all teenagers now.
God help me.
Single for over a decade. And I wonder how you think about the trade-offs of being a mom and bringing your kids into the public life. I'm thinking in particular about when you were kind of forced in your first campaign to talk about some domestic violence allegations that had come out in court against your ex-husband. Like, how do you weigh that trade-off and think about it with your kids? Because this is, running for governor of the biggest state is pretty high profile.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely challenges for it. There's a loss of privacy. People question things and say things to you, often in the most helpful of spirits that are sometimes hard to hear. But I also see what my kids have absorbed. One of the things they've absorbed is that it is a civic duty to be an active citizen. What that looks like for them is going to be different than me. But I think they've absorbed that. They've also seen that we can do hard things and that we can make choices in life and figure out ways to get it done. When I first ran for Congress, there were no single parents serving. And the big discussion was, you just can't do it. How are you going to do it? And we did it. And as my daughter said, one of my favorite things my kids have ever said politically was, my daughter gave a speech at one of my elections, and she said, "You think Katie Porter's favorite tool is a whiteboard, but I know the truth. It's a crock pot." And that is so true. I used to get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, put a meal in a crock pot, get in a car, go to LAX, fly to DC, and that was dinner that first night, right? And then I had something prepared for dinner for that second night. And then, and so it was a lot of stringing things together. But I talked with my kids about this run for governor. We really talked about it because I, knew I was going to be done with my time in Congress and really discussed it. And to my surprise, in some ways, they were all in, and they have stayed all in throughout this race. It's been a long race. It's been a wild race.
Must be a little easier that they're a little older.
It's a little easier that it's older. I think they understand differently what's at stake, but they also understand more, right? You can't shelter it from them as much. I mean, these people have Instagram accounts, so they see
people,
things.
She says she's talking about her children. Sorry, she said these people. Let me just make sure I wasn't. Hold on.
It must be a little easier that they're a little older.
It's a little easier that it's older. I think they understand differently what's at stake, but they also understand more, right? You can't shelter it from them as much. I mean, these people have Instagram accounts, so they see things. But I have been surprised again and again. Like,
I'm sorry. Why would she call her children these people?
I remember talking to my son Paul about some of the policies I was rolling out about a month ago, and I talked with him about free tuition at UC and CSU and my plan for that. And he's 17.
I love that.
He plans to go to college, so I was like, he's going to love that. And he was like, okay, that sounds good, Mom. And then I said, and free childcare. And Paul was so excited by that policy, which I was like, you're 17.
Yeah, don't get any ideas here.
We're not going grandma style here yet, are we? And he said, no. He said, but Mom, free childcare, like that is thousands of dollars. Like if I had that, I could stay in California and have a family. He's 17 years old. He's thinking 10 and 15 years, looking out at what life will be like in California. So, I think that forward-looking perspective is really, as I said, it's what anchors me in this race.
So much of politics and getting things done is about relationships. And you got elected in 2018, and if memory serves, you would not commit during that campaign to voting for Nancy Pelosi for Speaker. You had a rather public dust-up.
I believe I did commit to it, and I did actually vote for her.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
there were people who didn't, but I did.
And she was fine with that, actually. She said,
I
just
voted
win.
for her and committed to it.
But you did there was a dust-up over committee assignments. I think the Oversight Committee, when you ran for the U.S. Senate, most of your colleagues in Congress from California supported your opponents. And in this race for governor, also, not a lot of your colleagues or former colleagues are supporting you. And if you get to become governor, you're in Sacramento, you have to work with folks who are, in the legislature. How do you go about building those relationships given, is there any relevance to, what's come before that, which I just described?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of the reasons that I launched over a year ago so that I have had time to have conversations with people, get to know them, get to follow their legislation, see whether they got it passed, get to know their interests a little bit better. The governor's relationship with the legislature is really important. The governor's relationship with Congress and the congressional delegation is really important, especially as we think about how to stand up to Donald Trump. But you're absolutely right. Look, when I ran for Congress, I did things differently than they had been done before. I made the decision not to take corporate PAC money. And there were a handful of us who did that in 2018. It was really, really, I think, jarring to a lot of established people who had done that. It's corporate PAC money and corporate donations are a big part of the culture in Sacramento as well. So the fact that I'm not taking corporate money, I think, is always a little bit, people question. That's different than what I have always done. But I really think that we need to kind of invigorate people's confidence in politics. I want Californians to understand that when I make a decision, it is because it's what I think is best for California. It is not about who my donors are. So my average contribution in this race is $68. The average contribution of, let's just take Eric Swalwell, is $1,800. I ran out of zeros to figure out Tom Steyer's average contribution.
This is from himself, obviously.
So I think
yes, exactly. Oh my God, sorry. Peep the center host saying Tom Steyer doesn't need donations. He just funds himself. And ha 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 ha. We laugh about it, but it's actually very sinister.
Difference. I also think that the group of us who came in 2018, most of us had never served in politics before. And there's kind of an established path in California. You do the assembly, you do the Senate, maybe you're a county supervisor somewhere in there. And I was part of a group of people who had never been in office before. And many of those folks are doing exactly what I'm doing. So Mikey Sherrill's new governor of New Jersey, Abigail Spanberger, new governor of Virginia, Deb Haaland, going to be the next governor of New Mexico. Those are my classmates, my colleagues, and my friends. And those inter-governor relationships are going to be really key in thinking about how do we Trump-proof our state and the people of our state.
I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but the other thing that happened in the fall was a video surfacing of you kind of snapping at a staff member several years ago. And I just wonder, coming out of that, how do you sort of view it with the benefit of a little bit of hindsight in terms of the outcomes? Do you think it's affected your ability to connect with people or to build a team, or that it would in the future? And I guess I also wonder if you see any sort of genderedness in the way that some of the reaction to some of this stuff has played out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's caused people to ask me questions about both that video, but other questions about leadership, about how I work with others. And those are good and appropriate questions that we should be asking every governor's candidate. So I get those questions sometimes. I welcome them. And I think it's an important conversation to have. I apologized in that moment, as you know, and I'm really proud that staffer continues to work in politics. We worked together for 4 years after that video. So she's a friend. She's someone I'm really proud to say is still fighting for her values. I can't tell you what it's like to be a man in the world of politics. It does appear to at least require less makeup and shorter heels, but we've never had a woman governor in California. And really one of the things I sort of recently realized was the last time Democrats had a woman on the ballot, even for governor, on the general election, the November ballot, was 1994, Kathleen Brown. And I was in college then. And so
I was 1 year old.
A whole generation plus. That's 30 some years ago. My 30th reunion is coming up. So it's a long time since Californians have really had the opportunity to break that glass ceiling, to think about what women's leadership would look like and how we might emphasize different issues and how we might collaborate differently.
Our colleague Guy Marzorati did a story a couple weeks ago about how, the typical ladder or path to becoming governor is your lieutenant governor or attorney general, some other statewide office, an executive position. You haven't done that. And I'm wondering, what challenges do you think that could present? I mean, California's a big, complicated state, and you'd have to be running it, right?
Yeah, so having had time to meet with so many people across the state and having conversations with people who've served under different governors, our current governor, Governor Brown, Governor Schwarzenegger, Governor Davis, these people are all, to a person, when I've called them up and I said, what do I need to think about? What are the pitfalls? What did you do well? What would you advise me to think about? Those have been invaluable conversations. So one of the things is, how are you going to set that cooperative, productive relationship with the legislature? That's an important thing to think about. Thinking about how are you going to work with boards of supervisors? About half of our counties, give or take, are Republican. Right. So when Sacramento says jump, they say no. So
she said half of our counties in California are Republican. And I just thought about Mr. Marine on the San Bernardino County Board of Supervisors. Mr. I don't know how I got here. I'm just a dumb Marine.
Coming out of Orange County, I think, is also a big benefit. Our big cities are really, really important, but Orange County today is the 6th most populous county in the United States. San Diego County is the 5th most populous county in the United States. So thinking about how do we reach and serve and deliver for people across the state, and having had those conversations, incredibly valuable. I'm really proud to be willing to kind of think hard about structures. I won an award actually from, there's such a thing called the Congressional Management Foundation. They actually look to see if you're doing a good job running your congressional office, and we won an award for how we empowered younger and newer staffers to have substantive policy on day one in our office. The program I set up for Attorney General Kamala Harris won multiple awards for the innovation in how we delivered services to consumers.
We're running short of time. I do want to ask about kind of a centerpiece of your policy platform, which is eliminating state income taxes for families making under $100,000, making the corporate tax structure, changing it to progressive. It's now a flat rate, regardless of revenue. How would you pay for these changes? And politically, like, the tax code is something I feel like is a bit of a third rail in California.
Yeah, so look, we all are saying we're concerned about affordability, as if somebody else is the only reason that life in California isn't affordable. But of course, the state takes a chunk of many people's paychecks.
Are they going to talk about the billionaire tax?
If we're honest about what it takes to make ends meet in many parts of California, we would say that $100,000 allows people to make ends meet, but also to do the things we need them to do, to save for retirement, to be able to get a house,
it's
to
not
be able to put a little money away
anymore.
For college. So we're really, part of this is really acknowledging the state has a direct role to play in affordability, as well as all the policy levers that we need to pull on things like housing, childcare, college costs, which are also things where I've rolled out policy. I didn't really realize that California's tax was flat. I don't think people know that California's corporations pay a flat rate. Yeah. So if you're a corporation and you earn $1 in profit, you pay 8.84%. And that's a lot lower than California families pay, by the way. But if you're a corporation and you have a great year and you earn $100 billion, you pay 8.84%. So we want to make, my proposal is very gradually for the corporations in their most profitable years, asking them to pay just a little bit more, 9.5, maybe 9.75, just in their best years would generate enough revenue to make up what we take in today from people who pay $100,000 and actually give me money left over to deliver on my promise of free college tuition. So you heard me say I'm a nerd. I taught math. I have whiteboarded this all out and bed deep in the bowels of the California Franchise Tax Board website, making sure that this is going to pencil.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're almost at the end. We've been asking all of our candidates for governor the same ender question, which is where would you take an out-of-state visitor to get a taste of California? And taste can be defined any way you want to.
So I would actually say the Central Valley. And just because it's such an underappreciated part of California, many Californians have never really spent time in the Central Valley. So I think, going in the summer, being able to take them to orchards to get peaches and nectarines and love that part. Love some of the dairies that we have there. I think that whole part of California as an agricultural powerhouse is just lost on a lot of us who live closer to the coast. That maybe is a little bit back to my agricultural roots.
Also some excellent food in places like Bakersfield and Fresno, Mexican, Armenian.
Have you been to
Delano? I have a great Mexican restaurant in Delano that I like to go to. I'm heading to Bakersfield actually next week. I think this will be my 4th trip to Bakersfield. So I think that is part of how do we make all Californians, including those who maybe are going to vote Republican in this election, how do we make sure we have a governor who understands every part and pocket of California? And so that's a piece of California that I think is just underappreciated. We're known for our surf culture in our cities, but maybe we should be known for our peaches and almonds too.
For sure.
What?
Katie
We have
Porter,
almonds
UC
here in
Irvine Law Professor,
California?
candidate for governor. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
All right, that is going to be a wrap for Thursday, April 2nd. Political.
Katie Porter, that was pretty good, but I feel like they didn't give us much information about her. Katie Porter. Let's see. Here, let's watch this. It has 1.2 million views.
Could you please explain to this committee the difference between an interest rate and an APR?
So the APR is the extrapolation if it were a one-year term in terms of the loan. So that's the calculation that is laid out in TILA in particular.
So if I take the stated interest rate and do the math to deal with the fact that it's annualized, the APR, I would be correct.
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Greninger, the annual percentage rate, and I'll be happy to send you a copy of the textbook that I wrote.
Oh my God.
Explains that the APR is derived from the finance charge, the amount financed, and the payment schedule. It's a mathematical transformation of those three numbers into the cost of credit expressed at a yearly rate.
Simplification, I understand, that you know well.
Well, my concern is whether you know well.
Oh,
because
damn.
you are the one responsible for making sure that American consumers know well when they take on loans. Let's do an example. I'm a single mom. I'm by the side of the road. My car is broken down. I need money right now. I pick up my cell phone. I go to Speedy Cash, an online lender. I'm in California. I have to get to work. I have to have the cash to fix my car to get to work. I can barely read the little disclosure on my phone.
Of course.
The cost at Speedy Cash is, you may want to write this down,
Was this,
$10 per $100 borrowed.
Oh my God, that's 10%.
I need $200 to
Is this for payday loans? I feel like this was back when payday loans was a thing.
fix my car. The origination fee is $20. The term of the loan is 2 weeks, typical, for when I get paid. What is the APR? And if you'd like a calculator, we have one for you.
I understand where you're getting. At the end of the day, the issue is certainly when you actually are able to repay that loan and whether or not you take out an additional loan going through this, and you're certainly getting short-term, small dollar
Claiming my
lending
time. Ms. Granger, I'm asking you what the APR is. I'm not asking you to wax eloquently on the pros and cons of payday
I
loans.
understand. This is not a math exercise, though. This is a policy conversation about what the implications
Reclaiming my
are
time.
and what the appropriate
Reclaiming my
level of
time.
an interest rate and the other
Reclaiming my
finance charges
time.
are.
The time belongs to the gentle lady from California.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm asking if you could even ballpark on a $200 loan for a term of 2 weeks with a $20 origination fee and a rate of $10 per 100. That is 10%.
Yeah.
Ballpark, what is the APR?
And I'm telling you that the APR
200 and-
Is that a no?
is a math exercise, and the question
Okay, but
is,
it's when
am I going to pay off the term
Reclaiming
of my
my
loan?
time.
What are the
Yeah.
other issues that are happening
Reclaiming
in my
my
life?
time.
Okay, see.
I take that as
Yes, but shown it in a box. Oh, the drama. Okay, I feel like we need to address this because it is something I have to address on my own. Is my own sexism. I know it. I don't like how Katie Porter is talking to the lady. I know she's in a position of power, but there's something inside of me that's like, oh my God, this lady's acting like a white Karen. And she's saying, reclaiming my time. Like, yes, I know you are in charge of the time right now, but it comes off very bad. And I don't know, man. I don't know how this is going to be, how we're going to be able to change this as a society. It's just, we're just going to have to get used to this, I guess. And we need more Katie Porters out there being annoying and stuff for us to like, us to normalize this type of, this behavior that is a normal behavior. But it's just like, this is what people are going to focus on, and this is why they're not going to vote for her, and I hate that.
to a no that you cannot do the calculation, but I'm particularly concerned about this given that you could not even correctly define the APR.
Damn. Okay. So Katie Porter has a bunch of little takedown videos on her
So
Instagram.
you recently said in the Wall Street Journal that, quote, if you don't like the OCC's CRA blueprint, you are either economically advantaged by the current structure or you don't understand it. So basically,
I swear, she pulls out her textbook.
you're either
Oh my God.
corrupt and on the take, or
She has teaching aids.
you're not educated or intelligent enough to digest the OCC's proposal. What bucket should I put Governor Brainerd in?
I guess you'd have to make that decision yourself.
Was there a third bucket?
I wouldn't offer up an opinion.
Because you did say that if you don't like the proposal, if you oppose the proposal, which I oppose the CRA's, the OCC's
She's going to put herself in the...
you either are economically advantaged by the CRA, which I'm not, or I don't understand it. Which do you think applies to me?
You'd have to make a determination of how you would want to vote.
Is there a third category you'd like to develop for people like me that don't agree with you?
Not at this
Damn.
time.
How about Chairwoman Waters? She opposes the CRA,
Why does she have
CRA proposal.
all
We could
these
say
people's
she is
names?
somehow
You would
on
have to
the-
make that determination.
Okay, this is kind of funny.
I would encourage you to understand that some people who don't agree with the OCC's CRA proposal simply have read the CRA, have studied it, are economic experts or have been on this committee, leading this committee currently, and simply have a different vision of the CRA than you do. And I would ask you to please be respectful, particularly in the press, about how you talk about those who disagree with you, because rulemaking is a collaborative public process, and each of us, whether we're a congressperson or we're just a member of the public, has the right to disagree. And it doesn't mean we don't understand or that we're somehow on the take under the current system. It just means we have a different vision.
Wow, that was pretty good. Let's see one of her whiteboard videos. Oh no, let's watch her roast Mark Zuckerberg.
Mr. Zuckerberg, as you know, Facebook can be sometimes an unkind place, both toward my personal appearance and today apparently toward your haircut. But I just, as a mother of a teenage boy, I just want to say
No, damn! This is when Zuckerberg had the ugly haircut. This is before he was before he turned on Manosphere. Hold on, let's run that back turbo.
both toward my personal appearance and today apparently toward your haircut. But I just, as a mother of a teenage boy, I just want to say thanks for modeling the shortcut.
Oh!
You have said, quote,
Oh my God, she destroyed. This is why he had to go Manosphere. Oh my God.
responsibility to protect our data, and if we can't, then we don't deserve to serve you, unquote. Do you remember making that statement?
Congresswoman, yes.
And Facebook's privacy principles say, 1, we give you control of your privacy. 2, you own and can delete your information. And 3, we are accountable. Today, can you affirm that Facebook cares about user privacy and still holds itself to the standards it articulates in its public policies?
Congresswoman, we certainly care about privacy. It's incredibly important
There's
to
his
people.
disgusting haircut.
And
Super. If that's true, that you care about privacy and you're hewing to these principles, why are you arguing, Facebook, in federal court that consumers can't hold you liable for any of these promises? Because, quote, as plaintiffs admit, they and every Facebook user are bound by Facebook's terms of service, which release Facebook from liability for users' contract and common law claims.
Congresswoman, I'm not familiar with that specific legal argument.
Well, it's right there for you. You are arguing in federal court that in a consumer data privacy lawsuit, in which your own lawyers admit that users' information was stolen, that the plaintiffs failed to articulate any injury. In other words, no harm, no foul. Facebook messed up, but it doesn't matter. Is that your position?
Congresswoman, I'm not familiar with all the context here, so and I'm not a lawyer, so it's a little bit hard for me to weigh in on the.
Mr. Zuckerberg, as CEO and the tremendously proportional shareholder of Facebook, you are responsible for the legal arguments that your company makes. You hire these lawyers. Will you commit to withdrawing this argument and this pleading and never again plead that there is no liability on Facebook when data breaches occur?
Congresswoman, you're certainly right that I'm CEO and I'm responsible for everything that happens in the company. All that I'm saying is that I imagine that there are more pages to this document, and
okay, I'm going to take that as a no for right now, but I would like you to consider it. I think your pleading is inconsistent with your privacy principles, and I think that American people are tired of this hypocrisy. I've been in Congress 10 months, and I have already lost count of how many people have sat in exactly that chair and said one thing to me and to this Congress, and then done another thing in federal court.
Yep.
I want to turn to a different issue. Facebook's known as a great place to work, free food, ping pong tables, great employee benefits. But Facebook doesn't use its employees for the hardest jobs in the company. You've got about 15,000 contractors watching murders, stabbings, suicides, other gruesome, disgusting videos for content moderation, correct?
Congresswoman, yes, I believe that's correct.
You pay many of those workers under $30,000 a year, and you've cut them off from mental health care when they leave the company, even if they have PTSD because of their work for your company. Is that correct?
Congresswoman, my understanding is we pay everyone, including the contractors associated with the company, at least a $15 minimum wage. And in markets and in cities where there's a high cost of living, that's a $20 minimum wage. We go out of our way to offer
I take your word at the wage.
health.
Reclaiming my time. According to one report I have, and this is straight out of an episode of Black Mirror, these workers get nine minutes of supervised wellness time per day. That means 9 minutes to cry in the stairwell while somebody watches them.
What?
Would you be willing to commit to spending 1 hour a day for the next year watching these videos and acting as a content monitor and only accessing the same benefits available to your workers?
Congresswoman, we work hard to make sure that we give good benefits to all the folks who are doing this.
Mr. Zuckerberg, reclaiming my time, I would appreciate a yes or a no. Would you be willing to act as a content monitor? To have that life experience?
I'm not sure that it would best serve our community for me to spend that much
reclaiming my time. Mr. Zuckerberg,
I spend a lot of
reclaiming my
time.
time. Mr. Zuckerberg, are you saying you're not qualified to be a content monitor?
Yup.
No, Congresswoman, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay, then you're saying
you don't want to do it.
How many lobbyists are on your payroll?
Congresswoman, I don't know the answer to that.
60. So 5 dozen lobbyists, and I wanted to ask about the timing of your announcement this week to invest $1 billion into housing charity on the day before your testimony before this committee. You may respond in writing. My time has expired.
Damn. Okay. Let's do one more. I want to see a whiteboard one. Oh, she has a Jeopardy one.
Let's get started. Mr. Tenaglia. Enablers for 100. A president who called how much we spend on defense crazy, but let defense spending grow by over $100 billion in one term.
I don't know the answer to that question.
Oh. Really? You don't know who called the defense budget crazy? Who is Donald Trump? Mr. Mansfield.
Enablers for 200.
Enablers for 200. A member of Senate leadership who recently said funding the Pentagon at $886 billion would mean defense is radically underfunded.
Oh my God. Who is Donald Trump?
I don't know the answer.
Who is
Mitch McConnell.
Mitch McConnell. Mr. Khan,
Okay.
you can easily be the
Enablers
winner
300.
here.
I'll take waste for 300.
Oh,
Great
waste
choice.
for
Waste for 300. Ineffective DoD assets that cost about $600 million to build and are now being decommissioned before
my
the end of
God.
their useful life.
Oh. What is the Navy budget?
Sorry.
What are littoral combat ships? You're familiar with this
Wow.
program. Mr. Tenaglia.
Enablers for 300.
Pardon me?
Enablers for 300.
Enablers for 300. Individuals who get rich while pushing to overspend our tax dollars.
Oh my God. Who are billionaires?
I don't know.
Who are
Defense
lobbyists? Mr. Mansfield.
Okay.
Waste for 200.
Waste
Waste
for
for
200.
200.
I'm
Here we
really
go.
counting on you here, Mr. Mansfield. A program that is $183 billion over budget and 10 years
What is
behind
the defense?
schedule.
Who is the defense budget? What is the defense
Joint
budget?
Strike Fighter program?
What is the what?
Is it the Joint Strike Fighter program?
What? That's correct. What is the F-35 program? Correct.
He got
Mr.
it
Khan.
right. He was the only one to get it right.
Missing guardrails for 200.
Missing guardrails for 200. The institution that has authorized more defense spending than the president requested for the current fiscal year. Who has authorized more defense spending than the president requested for this current 2023 fiscal year?
I would say it's the Armed Services Committee.
We'll give you that. Who is? Congress.
Oh,
Mr.
why?
Tenaglia, I'd really love to see you get one right here. I'm rooting for you.
Missing guardrails for 100.
Missing guardrails for 100. This one I think you're going to know. A review that every agency has passed except the DoD.
What is an audit?
What is an audit?
What is an audit? Correct. Mr. Mansfield.
I'm with missing guardrails for 300.
Here we go.
Missing guardrails for 300. This is a really good one.
Is it the Daily Double?
percentage of DoD's assets that it cannot account for.
61%.
61%. So
What
it
is
ca-
61%?
Huh?
Oh, he made sure
What
to
is 61%? So
clarify
I read
how
the
to
question
play the
wrong. The
game
percentage of
properly.
DoD assets that it can account for is 39%.
Yes,
You're right.
it's
Cannot account for 61%. Can account.
this cannot be real, and yet it is. It's from 2 years ago. Oh my God! It's called Jeopardy, but the Department of Defense, DoD. Oh my God, this is hilarious. Okay, let's see. Waste for 100 is left.
Count for 39. All right, Mr. Khan.
Is that double jeopardy? On
Yes.
100.
This is it. Waste for 100. DoD assets that have been lost, damaged, or destroyed to the tune of millions of dollars based on a May GAO report.
What is it?
What are spare aircraft parts?
What?
We're out of time for Jeopardy DoD, and the winner here today should be the American people. Because no matter who uncovers the most waste, the important thing is that we provide long overdue oversight to the taxpayers.
Oh my God, she played Jeopardy DoD. That's great. We should do that more often. I know this. Okay, come on, Katie Porter. We need the Gavin Newsom meme office to be actually working for Katie Porter. Man, I feel like she could do so much better than Gavin. That was great. That was great. Okay. All right. Let's read through one more thing, and that is the governor polls from Time magazine. Let's see what they have to say. Okay. From a few days ago, where the California's governor race stands after Swalwell's exit. It was a Democratic weekend. It was a dramatic weekend For the California gubernatorial race, Representative Eric Swalwell, the Democratic frontrunner, dropped out in scandal. The state and state Republicans declined to back President Donald Trump's chosen candidate. Oh, really? Really, I didn't know about that. Scrambling months of campaigning already marked by a crowded field in party infighting. Swalwell ended his campaign on Sunday following several reported allegations of sexual misconduct. He said that he was deeply sorry for mistakes in judgment that he had made in the past, but continued to deny the allegations against him, calling them false. On Monday evening, he announced that he planned to resign his seat in Congress. Before the allegations against him became publicized, several polls showed Swalwell as the leading Democratic candidate in a crowded race. His exit leaves 9 prominent candidates vying for Governor Gavin Newsom's role. 7 Democrats and 2 Republicans. But no, the other Republicans should have dropped out by now. Okay, whatever. Newsom, who is flirting. No, I don't think he's flirting. He's straight up courting a 2028 presidential run. Can't run for his office again, duh. Experts tell Time that they're not certain which candidate could take the lead, but they point to 2 possibilities. Tom Steyer, a billionaire philanthropist who launched an unsuccessful president campaign in the 2020 election, and Katie Porter, former California Congresswoman. Steyer and Porter have polled relatively close to with one another. It appeared that up until last week, right behind Swalwell were Tom Steyer and Katie Porter, says Eric Schickler, a professor of political science at UC Berkeley. I think a lot of the Democrats will be looking at both of them, trying to decide, is one of them the preferred candidate. The 2 both have name recognition, says Christian Gross. Damn, back again. He's clearly doing better now after that controversy of the the USC governor debate being canceled. Okay, Christian Gross, professor of political science at USC. Of the candidates in the race, Steyer has spent the most funds on campaign ads. He has dished out about $89 million on more than 1 million ads airing as of Thursday, according to the San Francisco Chronicle. If you live in California, you have probably seen his ads, Gross says. Wow, that's a great quote right there. At the same time, Porter has name recognition as a former member of Congress. Her campaign took a hit in the fall, though, after videos circulated online in which she can be seen threatening to walk out of an interview with a reporter and berating a member of her staff. She apologized for both incidents at the public forum in October. It's so fluid, Gross says, the state of the race. It's hard to say which of the 2 could become the Democratic favorite. He continues, but if I had to guess, perhaps Steyer, just because he does have so much money. He adds, though, that voters tend to distrust candidates who spend a lot of their own money on campaigns, which could work against Steyer. There's some level of discomfort among the Democrats about a billionaire who has not held office becoming the party standard bearer, Schickler says. At the same time, I also don't think there's a growing desperation to settle on one candidate, and that probably does help Steyer right now. Although California is a Democratic stronghold, its unusual primary system raises the pressure on the field packed with Democratic candidates. The primary election will take place on June 2nd. California has top 2 primary. Okay, we already know about this. Blah, blah, blah. Jungle primary. Last week, Trump endorsed Hilton in the race to replace Newsom. Polls conducted before Trump's endorsement showed that Hilton, who previously worked at Fox News, he was a political strategist for Prime Minister David Cameron. Jeez. But experts say that Trump's endorsement of Hilton could actually work in Democrats' favor. If Hilton wins a substantial number of votes among the state's Republican voters, it minimizes the chances that both he and Bianco will advance to the general election. I don't understand why people keep saying the possibility of 2 Republicans advancing to the general election is such a big thing. I would say that Trump's endorsement makes it less likely that Democrats have to end up facing what would be a disaster for the party, Schickler says. But I don't think it eliminates it. On Sunday, California Republicans didn't endorse a candidate for their party in the race. Neither Hilton nor Bianco cleared the 60% threshold needed to earn an endorsement from party delegates. Instead, the delegates broke with the president, backing Bianco by 49% to Hilton's 44%. Well, I mean, if Trump is like not popular at all, I wouldn't want his endorsement. That's crazy. The result could send a message to Republican voters that these are both credible candidates, both credible Republicans, Schickler says. I think it's not likely that you'll end up with 2 Republicans making it, he continues. It's just as hard in such, okay, blah, blah, blah. All right. So that was good. Thank you, Time Magazine. Okay, I am out of stories to talk about today. We covered everything I wanted to, so let's end it here. And we will be back streaming later this week. Although it's already Wednesday. We'll see. Everyone have a good one. Let me continue this music for the outro. Thank you for joining me. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you are not already subscribed, so that way you can get notifications when I go live. Turn on notification bell for when I go live and when videos drop. Also be sure to hit the thumbs up like button on this video. I would really appreciate it, and it's apparently very helpful. All right. Peace out, everyone. Have a good one. See y'all later.